Good afternoon and welcome to the Assembly Committee on Commerce and Labor. Secretary, will you please take roll?
Assembly members Anderson, Carter, present. Cole, Hardy, Howdigi, Kasama, Miller, Monroe Moreno, O'Neill, Roth, Torres Fawcett, Yeager, Urick, and Chair Marzola.
And I am here. Please mark members present once they arrive. Welcome everyone that is here in Carson City with us, those in Las Vegas, and anyone tuning in over the internet. Today we will hear 4 bills: Assembly Bill 225, Assembly Bill 290, Assembly Bill 423, and Assembly Bill 512. We will also conduct a work session. I will not be taking those Assembly bills in order. Before we get started, I do have a few housekeeping announcements. Members of the public, may provide testimony in various ways, which are all listed on the agenda. When testifying, please remember to turn on your microphone to speak and off to listen. Also remember to state and spell your name for the record. If you have committee handouts, please provide 20 copies to the committee secretary prior to your testimony. Committee information is available on Nellis, which can be accessed through the legislature's website. You may also watch our meetings through Nellis or the legislature's YouTube channel. We ask that public comment be kept to 2 minutes so that everyone can be accommodated. I expect courtesy and respect in all our interactions, even if we may not agree. And finally, if you can please silence or turn off your electronic devices, especially your cell phones. And with that, we will move to our work session. It is not customary for the committee to take testimony or otherwise rehear any bills during work session. However, I may invite a witness to come forward for clarification or questions during our consideration of a measure. We will start with Assembly Bill 44.
Assembly Bill 44 prohibits manipulating the price of an essential good or service in this state, sponsored on behalf of the Attorney General, heard on March 5th, and the proposed amendments are on the bill page.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions? I don't see any. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass Assembly Bill 44. I have a first from Assembly Member Miller. Is there a second? I have a second from Assembly Member Torres Fawcett. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Assembly Member Kasama, Assembly Member Urick, Assembly Member Cole, and Assembly Member Hardy. Motion passes. I will assign that floor statement to Assembly Member Miller.
Thank you, Chair.
Next is Assembly Bill 177.
Assembly Bill 177 makes various changes relating to audiology, fitting, and dispensing hearing aids and speech language pathology, sponsored by Assemblymember Gonzalez, and the amendments are on the bill page.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions on Assembly Bill 177? I don't see any. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass.
So moved.
I have a first from Assemblymember Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Assemblymember Anderson. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. I'll assign that floor statement to Assemblymember Gonzalez. Next is Assembly Bill 259.
Assembly Bill 259 establishes provisions governing prescription drugs, sponsored by Assemblymember Constein, heard on March 12th, and there are 2 proposed amendments on the bill page.
Thank you. Are there any questions on Assembly Bill 259? I don't see any. I'll entertain a motion to amend and do pass. I have a first from Assemblymember Miller. Is there a second? Second. I have a second from Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. Is there any discussion on the motion? I don't see any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Assemblymember Kasama, Assemblymember Urick, Assemblymember Cole, and Assemblymember Hardy. Motion carries. I'll assign that floor statement to Assemblymember Considine. Our last Assembly bill for work session is Assembly Bill 466.
Assembly Bill 466 revises certain notice requirements imposed on an insurer who issues a policy of portable electronics insurance, sponsored by Assemblymember Kasama, heard on April 2nd, and there are no proposed amendments.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions? I don't see any. I'll entertain a motion to pass Assembly Bill 466. I have a first from Assemblymember Miller. Is there a second? I have a second from Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. Is there any discussion on the motion? I don't see any. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. I'll assign that floor statement to Assemblymember Kasama. And with that, we will move to our first bill of today. It's Assembly Bill 512. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 512. This measure revises provisions relating to casualty insurance. Good afternoon, Mr. Abney. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon to you. Good to see you. For the record, my name is Trey Abney, T-R-A-Y-A-B-N-E-Y, and here on behalf of Legal Shield today. Next to me is Mark Nelms. He's Vice President and Assistant General Counsel for Legal Shield. We are here to present and support AB 512, and I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for the honor of having your committee introduce this for us and having your committee's name on this bill. Madam Chair, with your blessing, we will have Mr. Nelms briefly walk through the background and reason for the bill, and then we will walk you through the bill at the end, which will not take very long at all, I promise. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Nelms.
Thank you, sir. Mark Nelms, M-A-R-K-N-E-L-M-S. Good morning, Assembly members. I appreciate your time and leadership. I'm a Vice President, Assistant General Counsel for Prepaid Legal Services, also known as Legal Shield, and we're here to support proposed Bill 512. Our company is headquartered in Ada, Oklahoma, which is about 2.5 hours northeast of Dallas, Texas, and very proud of our company. We've been in business now for over 53 years providing legal plans. And I'm going to talk about legal plans today and how they work. And as long as they've been around, there's still many who aren't familiar with them. We started doing business in Nevada in 1987, so I appreciate very much our history in Nevada and the business we've done here. In 1995, the law firm of Dempsey, Roberts, and Smith, the current provider law firm in the state of Nevada, became the first provider law firm then for the state of Nevada, and they've been doing this a long time. I'm going to explain a little bit about how a provider law firm works. What's important is that Legal Shield itself does not provide the legal services. We provide access through legal plans to these provider attorneys and the service they provide. And to describe a little bit of how a legal plan works, if you had a family legal plan, your first point of contact would be with Dempsey, Roberts, and Smith. You would contact the law firm. They could provide consultation on any personal legal matter that you had. They could also do research if that would be helpful to you. They could write a letter, make a phone call on your behalf. There's a variety of other benefits in the plan. I did want to bring up just briefly like estate planning. You know, most Americans don't have their estate plan in order. Well, through that plan, they can help you with a will, power of attorney, and advance directive, which is important to a family. If needed, there are referral attorneys outside the provider law firm. So we have a network of providers throughout the state. What I also appreciate is with that legal plan, you can have access to legal help anywhere in the 50 states. And so with your legal plan, if say your Nevada firm couldn't handle the matter, I give an example. It was a Friday afternoon and a member in another state needed a contract reviewed. Well, their provider firm determined that it was not governed by their state law. They needed to get them help in another state. They simply contacted the provider in the other state. They contacted that member. They reviewed the documents and saved them a great deal of money. And I thought about that, and who on a Friday afternoon, you know, would have the ability to find help in another state, right, with a contract? And so that was the power of having a legal plan. What is important is our provider law firm model is a non-indemnity type legal service plan. We do not indemnify our members for legal fees. We don't pay claims. We don't reimburse members. So this proposed legislation simply will bring clarity and modernization to the law here in Nevada and exempt these modern non-indemnity legal plans from insurance. This will align, and this is very important, this will align Nevada with the vast majority of states now in the United States that treat us as non-insurance. At present, there's only 6 other states other than Nevada where we are non-indemnity legal plans like ours are substantially treated as insurance by the insurance regulator. And those states are Alaska, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, and Virginia. The remaining states do not. So this again would align Nevada with the majority of states. We've also seen legislative change in several states, similar to what we're trying to do in Nevada, so I wanted to share that with you. Those states include Washington, Arizona, North Dakota, Nebraska, Tennessee, Texas, and Arkansas. So this would again would align Nevada with those states as well. This also the support for legal plans promotes access to justice. I know there's many attorneys on the committee, so I appreciate that. But most all states in the last 10 or 15 years have looked for ways to provide everyday individuals and families, small businesses with legal help, and they see it as a problem. Now, my wife's in the healthcare industry. You won't hear about this issue as often as, of course, healthcare. But I thought about it. You know, we want to go to a doctor, right? We want to go to a professional to get our healthcare. Well, think about in a legal situation when one party has counsel and the other party does not. And I heard one of the best speeches I ever heard, talks on this issue, from a very tenured judge out of New York. And of all things, he brought up a landlord-tenant scenario. And he was saying, okay, landlords normally are going to have counsel. And by the way, I love my landlords, so this is not negative toward landlords. But the majority of time, those tenants do not have counsel. And so he showed how that one issue in that family's life, not only did they face eviction, they then faced a judgment which goes on your credit for 7 years. They then face potential garnishment, and then now go try to find other housing, right, once you've been evicted. And it was a real problem. It showed how it snowballed. And so that brought up a time when I was able to help a member early in my career, and it was a landlord-tenant situation. And that member was a tenant, and because they had a legal plan, they had counsel. And I went over with that member that day, and of all the other defendants that were on the docket that day, only one had counsel, and that's the one that had a legal plan. The remaining defendants, had default judgments or agreed judgments entered that day. And we were prepared and ready and got a great outcome for that member. And so I thought about that. Think about other areas of law, like family law, child custody, garnishments, unemployment. I had a member in another state whose provider helped them with unemployment benefits. Now, that was a huge issue to that family and that individual in getting those unemployment benefits. But I thought about who's going to be able to go out and hire an attorney or would go hire an attorney for that kind of issue. And so that's what these legal plans help people do. I would also bring up this, just like my home state of Oklahoma, Nevada's Supreme Court, Oklahoma Supreme Court, put together a commission. And the point they made here in Nevada was the purpose was to provide legal services to persons with limited means. And I saw your Supreme Court building, very beautiful. But back to this, there's a real gap in those who try to qualify maybe for legal aid. And I want to say this, states are spending a huge sum of money on legal aid. And legal aid does an amazing job, so I appreciate legal aid. But for most, they're not going to either one, qualify for legal aid, or there's not many areas of law that legal aid covers. And so there's a big gap with those who can't qualify, but a legal plan they can pay for, a monthly subscription. Finally, I talked about the 50 states. The other thing I appreciate this, and think about everybody that you represent. We can help your citizens in Nevada across the state, no matter if they live in a remote area, a rural area, an urban area. With that legal plan, they have access to legal help. And so with that, Assembly Bill 512 will simply clarify that non-indemnity legal plans are not insurance products and should not be subject to the Nevada Insurance Code. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Trey Abney, if it's okay with you, just briefly look at the bill language, and just want to point out I am working from the amendment that is posted on Nellis, not the original bill. Short and sweet. I will not say simple because that's a kiss of death for a bill here, but it is short. And so what we've done here is a new section adding legal expense to definition of different variations and varieties of casualty insurance. And so we've outlined that if a plan reimburses or pays someone for specific legal services or legal expenses, that would be considered an insurance plan under casualty insurance. To the point of why we were here today, we also included language that outlines what is not legal expense casualty insurance, and that would be the fixed prearranged payments language you see at the end of the new blue language. Now, I always feel stupid when I'm sitting next to a lawyer describing what our bill is trying to say, so I want to make sure that I got that right. Mr. Nelms, if you had anything to add.
Oh, that's correct. It's just a clarification. Mark Nelms, thank you, sorry. It's just clarification, yes, sir, for the non-indemnity legal plans as we discussed.
And with that, Madam Chair, ready for any questions the committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And Mr. Nelms, I heard that you practiced saying Nevada before appearing in front of us today, so I have to say thank you. I am impressed.
Okay.
Thank you for putting in the work.
Absolutely.
And with that, I will go to questions. Assemblymember Kasama.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question. Does Legal Shield, when you said you had some law firms you worked with, do you have an ownership interest in those, or is it like a medical plan where you're part of the HMO plan versus the PPO plan, like they're outside the network?
Mark Nelms, thank you for the question. We ourselves do not provide the services, and we do not have a relationship like that. We have arrangements with these provider law firms. And right now, there's 35, I believe, is the last count, across the United States and parts of Canada. And again, they're the first point of contact. But we have an arrangement with them where they agree to provide the services under the plan for the member. And then there's the referral attorneys outside the providers that they can be referred to. So when you say in network, the first point of contact is your provider law firm, like Dempsey Robertson Smith, if that helps.
Thank you.
So just to clarify before I go to the next member, I have a plan, let's say Legal Shield, correct? Legal Shield does not provide me any legal advice. You're almost like a referral source, and you would refer me to attorneys that are under your list. Is that correct?
Mark Nelms, Madam Chair, the first part is you always go to your provider law firm first, and that's why our model is unique in that way. They are the ones who do a referral outside. We don't provide the referral from our home office. They go to the provider. Majority of matters, like I was giving you examples of earlier, are taken care of by that provider law firm. But then if they need to be referred out, that's when we have referral attorneys. Or like I gave you the example where they need help in another state, then they would refer maybe to another provider firm there, or maybe to a referral attorney there. But we ourselves don't provide the counsel, and we don't provide the referrals. We provide a legal plan that provides them access to all of that.
But I guess maybe I'm just a little confused. So my provider law firm here, let's say in Carson City, I would obtain that through Legal Shield, correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. So, and again, to my second question was, Legal Shield in no way provides any sort of legal advice?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Committee members, are there any additional questions? I don't see any. Oh, spoke too soon. Assemblymember O'Neill.
Thank you, Chair. And building upon Chair's question, so Legal Shield, I go to the referral, and that'll all be done, I assume, telephonically or by Zoom, correct? In other words, I don't meet with them in person, most likely.
Martin Elms, very good question, sir. The majority of time, it'll be by phone, right, text, those type of things. There are times, of course, when you will meet in person with an attorney.
And that was the question. Oh, excuse me. That was really, if I may expand upon my question. So they're going to they may refer me to a local law firm. And that's where, how do they determine, I live here in Carson, or if you go out to Fallon, I don't know how well you know our states, or so I apologize, but when I say Fallon, we're getting down to fairly rural. When you talk about Hawthorne, you're rural as one can be, basically, let alone Eureka, Ely. So do they find a legal counsel for me that they contract with, or would I go out and, I guess, drill down the whole system to me,
Yes, sir.
please?
Absolutely. So, Martin Elms, they will take care of the referral for you, sir. You're not having to find your own attorney. They're going to get you matched with an attorney who's willing to provide you your benefits under your membership and who handles that area of law, and of course, who they have relationships with. Probably many of these referral attorneys, I've got good friends who are referral attorneys. Before coming to the home office's in-house counsel, I actually was with the provider law firm in Oklahoma. So much of my career has been spent helping members. My former firm, the current provider in Oklahoma, they're a full-service law firm. They handle a lot of areas of law across a lot of areas of the state. So there's times when, once you've talked to an attorney, they've determined what your needs are, what your benefits are, and then how would you like to proceed. If you do need somebody in another county or area, then they will refer you to somebody like that, sir. Sometimes that firm will also handle it from where they are.
I appreciate, thank you, Chair, for the time.
Committee members, any additional questions? I don't see any. We will open up for testimony in support of Assembly Bill 512. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see any. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 512?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 512, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. I will move to testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 512. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 512? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 512, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone in Carson City that wishes to testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 512?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Adam Plain, P-L-A-I-N, with the Nevada Division of Insurance. The division is neutral on Assembly Bill 512. We did submit some written testimony and essentially constituent letter on the legal services issue. I just wanted to clarify for the record that the division has regulated certain legal expense products under the statute in question, under the miscellaneous category for several years. Because it's an undefined product, we use a standard, it's the fortuitous event standard, meaning if you're benefiting in some way, it is considered an insurance product. We're fine with the redefinition if that's what the legislature chooses. It doesn't really matter too much, I guess, to us anyway. We will regulate it and enforce it however you choose to define it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in neutral? Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 512? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 512. Please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. Would you like to give any closing remarks? I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 512. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 423, which revises provisions relating to business. Assembly member, I'll give you a couple of seconds to get ready and you may begin. And while you're getting ready, just to let everyone know that I am going to limit testimony for the next 3 bills. We will be doing 30 minutes for support, 30 minutes for opposition, and 30 minutes for neutral, which means 10 minutes here in Carson City, 10 minutes in Las Vegas, and 10 minutes for anyone calling in. And with that, you may begin.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let's see, is it still morning? No. Good afternoon. Chair Marzola, Vice Chair Howdigi.
Is your mic on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. If you can just sit a little closer, thank you.
Closer. Is that better? Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Marzola, Vice Chair Howdigi, if she was here, and my fellow committee members. I am Lisa Cole, that's Lisacole, and I proudly represent Assembly District 4 in Northwest Las Vegas. I am joined today by my co-presenters, Jody Stevens here in Carson City, and Carmen Rajamani on Zoom. Chair, I first would like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this bill, which supports small businesses in our state. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy, but oftentimes they are overlooked when it comes to legislative policies. I myself am a small business owner and have been for many years. When I set up one of my companies in 2018, I completed all the many steps I needed to in order to operate. I won't go into details, but there are a lot of steps, including one that actually confused me. I had to set up an account with the Nevada Department of Employment, Training, and Rehabilitation, which I will refer to as DETR from now on. When I set up DETR, I learned that even though I was both the owner and the sole employee, I would still have to pay contributions into the Unemployment Compensation Fund. Understanding that if I needed to let myself go, that probably meant the business was over, and I certainly wasn't going to file for an unemployment claim. I argued the point, but it didn't help. Over the last 7 years, I've contributed roughly $4,000 into that fund, and another company that I work with has, in the same boat, contributed almost $6,000 to that same fund. It may not seem like a lot of money, but for a small business, it is. To that end, the first portion of my bill was drafted to create a carve-out for this situation. I'll direct you to the friendly amendment from DETR that is uploaded to Nellis, and you should have in front of you. The new Section 3 adds an option for sole proprietors to elect a reimbursement framework as opposed to contributions. I can go into details of what that means if anyone has questions, but suffice it to say, it does solve the issue. And by adding Section 13, it gives DETR the time it needs to implement the changes. I'm going to give DETR a huge shout out now. I know I'm new, but not sure how often a state agency goes above and beyond to assist a legislator in not just addressing an issue, but finding an existing framework within which to work the fix, avoiding a fiscal note in the process. So thank you, DETR. Y'all rock, and I appreciate you. Second portion of my bill, found in sections 6 through 8, creates a new tool for the Governor's Office of Economic Development, or GOED, and the 8 regional economic development authorities throughout the state to recruit small businesses that do not qualify for large tax abatements or other incentives. This is a way to bring new small businesses to Nevada and further strengthen our economic backbone. By eliminating the cost of state business license fees for up to 2 years, we show these small businesses that we see them and appreciate their efforts to build a strong Nevada. The savings is small for these companies, but mighty, between $400 to $1,000 total over 2 years, depending on the type of entity the business forms. And if the business fails to achieve the required metrics, they have to pay the money back to the state. The concepts in this portion of the bill were a result of thoughtful conversations with both GOED and EDON, which is the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada, and are generally framed like those for larger incentive packages. This allows for a nuanced approach when it comes to larger population areas and rural areas, giving appropriate tools to all the development authorities. Now we come to the third section of AB 423, which provides for a streamlined process for co-location of personal wireless facilities on existing towers. As I'm not an expert in this field, I have my co-presenters, so I'm going to, with your permission, turn it over to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Jody Stevens, Jodistephenens. I represent the Wireless Infrastructure Association. On Zoom, we have the Vice President of Government Affairs, Ms. Carmen, who is going to help explain and answer any questions. The bottom line of the legislation is we wanted to look at the amendment that we had when we originally gave the language to LCB. It was very prescriptive, and after conversations with Clark, Henderson, and other municipalities, we realized that that was going to be more problematic than we had initially intended, and so we had a phone call yesterday and significantly simplified the language. So I will let Ms. Carmen jump into our section of the bill, section 10.
All right. Hello, it's Carmen Rajamani. I am the Vice President of Government Affairs with the Wireless Infrastructure Association. I'm in a different time zone, so I think it is good afternoon, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. And I am testifying in support of Assembly Bill 423, Section 10. That our members represent the companies that build, operate, and maintain the infrastructure necessary to achieve continuous coverage, fixed and mobile broadband service in every community, including in Nevada. And as Ms. Stevens explained, that we had a larger section, but after discussion with Clark County and the city of Henderson, we really shortened it so that essentially it says that applicants and municipalities need to comply with the FCC federal rules governing telecommunication tower facilities. And it's as simple as that. The purpose of doing this is there are a few things. Is that first, it preserves what works. That federal law has proven extremely effective in bringing nationwide wireless deployment since 1996, simplifying and standardizing the process for both localities and industry. This language will encourage deployment of innovative technologies. Without this wireless infrastructure, literally, there is no skeleton to support new technologies. This language will also provide incentives for co-locating on existing telecommunication towers, which is really the fastest and least intrusive means of installing needed wireless infrastructure. And it supports wireless communication and connectivity, which is critical to public safety situations. Emergency services, police, and fire depend upon wireless service to communicate with each other and with the public. And as many of you may already know, that over 80% of 911 calls come from a wireless device. And so in total, this little section provides uniformity in wireless deployment. It brings predictability, proportionality, and transparency to the municipal permitting and deployment processes. And for these reasons, we support Section 10 of Assembly Bill 423. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thanks very much.
Lisa Cole for the record. With that, we are ready for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. Committee members, are there any questions? I don't. Assemblymember O'Neill.
Great bill. But I do have one question. You were saying about you were the owner of a business, you had to pay it. What if it's myself and my wife have formed some business? This only says one employee. Is there, what's permissible for expansion of that?
Chair, may I go direct? It's my first time asking that question. Thank you. So that's actually a very, very good question, and I can reach out to Dieter to see if they would be amenable to doing something different if it's a husband and wife team. I also owned a business at one point with my husband and I, so I understand that question. So I will reach back out and let you know. Thank you.
If you can state your name.
Lisa Cole for the record.
Thank
Darn
you.
it. I was doing so good.
If you can move back so we can start testimony in support of Assembly Bill 423. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support? Oh, Carson City. Jeez.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Trevor Parrish here with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of Assembly Bill 423 as a business entity owned and operated by a single individual ought to have the ability to opt themselves out of the State Unemployment Insurance Fund. The Chamber views this policy as a fair and equitable decision for a business owner to make for themselves. Furthermore, this bill has no fiscal impact to the Unemployment Insurance Fund because the business owner that does not contribute to the fund would cede their right to use the program. The Chamber thanks Assemblymember Cole for bringing this forward, and we thank the committee for your time and consideration of this bill. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Joshua Skaggs, and I'm the Legislative Affairs Director for the Nevada Republican Party here in support of AB 423. Thank you to Assemblymember Lisa Cole for sponsoring AB 423, and thank you also to members DeLong, Gurr, Hafen, Hansen, and Hibbets. Section 2 and 3 allows owners of small, closely held businesses to opt out of unemployment insurances for themselves, which creates greater flexibility and the potential to reinvest resources into growth and job creation. The proposed fee exemption in Section 6 directly encourages job creation and investment in Nevada by incentivizing entrepreneurs starting businesses here. AB 423 helps small businesses, which in return helps all of Nevada. Please vote yes on AB 423. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City that wishes to testify in support? I don't see any. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 423?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Omar Salcedo. That's OMAR-SAUCEDO, and I'm testifying here today on behalf of AT&T. First, I want to thank the bill sponsor for bringing this bill. As a wireless company, we appreciate the predictability and the expedited nature of the piece of the bill that applies directly to wireless infrastructure. AT&T has a number of upgrades that we're making to our cellular towers. Specifically, we are changing radio providers. So anything that we can do to kind of expedite that process and make it easier for us to make those changes and enhance coverage in Southern Nevada and all parts of our state is greatly appreciated. So thank you for your time.
Hi, Madam Chair and Assembly members. My name is Aida Laudi. I came here actually for a different bill, but this one makes total sense, especially the first two sections. the sections. The third sections, I'm not knowledgeable enough, so I'm not sure if it's going to hinder or help. But as a business owner, I'm a physician, and before that, small business owners need not to be hindered with more taxation, especially if they cannot get it back in any way. That's it. Thank you.
Ma'am, can you spell your name for me?
Aida, A-I-D-A. Last name, L-O-U-D-Y-I.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in support? You may begin when you're ready.
Yeah, my name is Al Rojas, Assembly District 12. I'm fully in support of this bill. I ditto the majority of the statements, pretty much all the statements that were in support. And we need to give more opportunities to small businesses here in the state of Nevada. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in support in Las Vegas? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 423, please press star 9 or raise hand within Zoom to join the queue.
Chair, members of the committee, Samantha Barnes, B-A-R-N-E-S, with Career Nevada on behalf of LVGEA. We appreciate Assembly Member Cole for bringing this bill forward and here in full support. Thank you.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 423. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone walking up. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 423, please press star 9 or raise hand in Zoom to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. We'll move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Nicole Rourke, representing the City of Henderson, NICOLEROURKE. We're just here to thank the sponsor as well as WIA for working with us pretty extensively to modify Section 10 to really alleviate our concerns. We're certainly in compliance with FCC regulations, and those are rather in-depth if you've ever dealt with them. And so our team is pretty on it, and I hear a laugh behind me knowing that. So we really appreciate the hard work that really went into that amendment. I realize it looks very simple, but there's certainly a lot of back and forth, and we appreciate their efforts. Thank you.
Hello, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. My name is Ashley Kennedy, representing Clark County. My last name is spelled Kennedy. I will ditto all the comments that were made by my colleague from the City of Henderson, and we appreciate the bill proponents working with us extensively. They had stated on the record that this is really about bringing predictability for the industry, and it also gives predictability to the local governments. That usually on these cell towers, on modifications, there's multiple departments that are involved. Our land use, comprehensive planning, public works, and our building department. So this is very helpful to us, and we appreciate them working with us. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 423? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 423, please press star 9 or raise hand in Zoom to join the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. Assembly member, would you like to give any final remarks?
Lisa Cole for the record. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the opportunity, and also a shout out to your staff, the committee manager, and everybody has been amazing to work with, and they work really hard, especially right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 423. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 290, which revises provisions relating to prior authorization for medical and dental care under health insurance plans. Welcome, Assemblymember Nguyen. You may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Marzola, Vice Chair Haragi, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Assemblymember Yui Nguyen, and I have the honor to represent Assembly District 8 in the sunny Southwest Las Vegas. We are pleased to present Assembly Bill 290, a bipartisan effort to reform and bring clarity and transparency to the prior authorization processes in Nevada. What you have before you is months of collaborative work by many stakeholders, doctors, private insurers, and many others that have come to the table. Usually, folks don't show up to the table, but we must address this issue that affects Nevadans, and the stakeholders all showed up to do the work. As you hear in the testimonies, doctors are pleading with insurance companies to help treat their patient. Nevadans are desperate for action, and this issue, AB 290, will positively impact doctors and patients. In Nevada, we do so much to recruit and retain quality healthcare providers. This legislation will be part of this effort to keep quality healthcare services and providers in Nevada. With me today are my co-primary sponsor, Assemblymember Toby Urick, who will begin the presentation, Dr. Jameson, who will provide clinical context. We also have Dr. Kiko Duncan, Pharmacy Director from the Division of Health and Human Services, and our Medicaid team to answer any questions you all may have, and Assemblymember Dr. Rebecca Etchworth, who's also available for any medical-specific question. With that, I will pass it on to Assemblymember Urick.
Thank you, Assemblymember, and thank you, Chair, and committee members for letting us be here today. For the record, I am Assemblyman Toby Urick, and I have the great pleasure of representing Nevada's Assembly District 19. So I just want to start and ask the question, why are we here? Specifically, we're dealing with prior authorization, which is really a process that is meant to ensure appropriate use of care. This has become, unfortunately, an obstacle to timely treatment. It's burdensome, it's inconsistently applied, and increasingly automated in ways that seem to harm patient outcomes. And so AB 290 is really about restoring accountability, transparency, and critical oversight. And so to help bring this into proper perspective and set up this bill, I'd like to introduce Dr. Jameson.
My name is Florence Jameson, Florencejameson. Good morning, Elaine Marzola, Chair, and esteemed legislators. Through this process, more than ever, I am deeply grateful for your dedicated efforts, the sacrifices you make, and the privilege of speaking to you today on AB 290. I have practiced and am still practicing active physician, obstetrician gynecologist in Nevada for over 40 years, and it's my greatest joy to care for my patients. My passion has always been ensuring access to quality health care for everyone. Every life is of infinite value, and everyone should have the opportunity to have timely access to health care, an opportunity for as healthy, long a life as possible. And to that end, I founded Volunteers in Medicine of Southern Nevada, the largest free medical clinic in Nevada, which provides comprehensive care to the uninsured. As a free clinic, we do not require prior authorization. And our patients, it allows us to deliver them essential medical care, diagnostic tests, and medications in a timely fashion. Everyone deserves such timely access to vital health care. Today, I'm here to discuss prior authorization and the resulting tsunami of negative outcomes. When we talk about unintended consequences all the time, there is no better example than prior authorization gone awry. As we heard, prior authorization was meant to be used as an effective tool to ensure timely access to quality medical care and to reduce fraud and abuse. It was never intended to be a barrier to essential health care. There should never be unnecessary delays or denials for a vital diagnostic test, medications, and medical services, often life-saving. When it comes to medical care, time is always of the essence. When we asked our patients, what challenges are you facing with your insurance? The most common response we receive overwhelmingly is prior authorization. Out of 1,000 physicians surveyed by the AMA, approximately 25% of them reported serious adverse events for their patients. 7% indicated it led to a patient's disability, permanent bodily damage, or even death. Congress is finally acknowledging our patients' messages and cries for help. Recently, it found, quote, the use of prior authorization in the Medicare Advantage plans has skyrocketed, 46 million requests in 2022, burdening the providers and delaying health care. With 46 million requests for Medicare Advantage plan alone, they were found guilty of corporate malfeasance. Congress then did the CMS final rule you're all aware of in 2024 that aims to regulate the government plans and reduce prior authorization timeframe and enhance transparency. AB 290 will do this and much more. The additional work and stress, let me stress, that prior authorization puts on physicians and patients in Nevada is overwhelming. As a gynecologist, 1 in 8 of our patients women will get breast cancer by the time they're 80. In my practice, it's common to have an abnormal screening mammogram. After that, they need a diagnostic mammogram and an ultrasound. We wait 20 days for that approval. And then they usually need an MRI. We wait another 20 days for that approval. And then there's the ultrasound-guided biopsy and another 20 days for that approval. And then you have to start chemotherapy. You have to be referred to a specialist. Another 20 days, you start chemotherapy and surgery and more pre-authorization and more delays. In Nevada, due to the shortage of doctors, we can often wait 4 to 6 months to schedule surgery. We have yet to solve the doctor shortage, but we can do something at reducing the time frames for prior authorization to provide some immediate relief for our patients. As many patients wait, I go through it with them all the time. They're so anxious about their cancer progressing and prognosis worsening, the possibility of dying from their cancer. The reality is, many insurance companies function as a vertical integrated healthcare system. They operate with their own mail order pharmacies and their pharmacy benefit managers, and they inflate cost of cancer and HIV treatments 1,000%. They own hospitals and are the largest employees of physicians. In the U.S., this results in them being the single greatest vertical monopoly. These insurance companies are massive monopolies that oversee millions of patients in general and generate billions in profits. All I'm asking here today is to help level the playing field so that all patients in Nevada, like you and like me, that we can have a fair chance of timely access to appropriate medical care. This is what AB 90 will do, and so much more. And I'm so excited to see us finally doing some serious legislation on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jameson, and thank you, Chair and committee members. Hopefully, we've kind of just laid out a brief foundation of what this bill is aiming to address, and it's this issue of prior authorizations. And so Assemblymember Nguyen and I will go through, and we've kind of coordinated a succinct version of a presentation of this bill to save everybody time, but I'd like to just make sure that everybody is aware, and we have uploaded to Nellis the conceptual amendment that, again, is the product of a lot of collaboration and work with stakeholders that I'm hoping today are going to show up and talk about the work that's gone into this bill to present some good legislation as well. So with your permission, Chair, I'll hand it over to Assemblymember Nguyen, and we'll start the section-by-section walkthrough.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Assemblymember Ewing. For the record, the amendment, again, I'm proud to present, has been a great joint effort with so many stakeholders in the past few months. Each of our sponsors have had their own form of prior authorization, so I'm glad to be joined by them to help deliver for Nevadans. So you can see those sponsors up top. So I really want to acknowledge all the sponsors who have worked hard on this build. Section 2 to 12 just define key terms. Adverse determination on Section 3, a denial or modification of care based on insurer review. Emergency services under Section 4, updated to change unborn child to fetus. Other terms defined include health carrier, insured, provider of health care, network, and urgent health care. These definitions align with state and federal standards and provide consistent interpretation. On Section 15 is deleted, which previously addressed a presumption of medical necessity for emergency services, has been removed through the conceptual amendment. Emergency services are already protected under existing Nevada law, which prohibits insurer from requiring prior authorization for such care. On Section 13, as altered in the conceptual amendment, Section 13 ensured that adverse determination on prior auth requests must be made only by licensed physician or dentist who hold an unrestricted license in any U.S. state or territory, have relevant training experience or clinical practice related to the condition in question. Further, the adverse determination is reviewed and affirmed by a medical director of the health carrier or similar employee who is in charge of medical operation of the health carrier. Additionally, before issuing a denial based on medical necessity, the insurer must offer the treating provider a live phone or video conversation with the reviewing provider before rendering an initial determination on the request. Any denial must be promptly communicated in writing with specific reason for the denial, any missing or insufficient documentation identified, clear appeal instructions. Finally, appeals must resolve in a timely manner, and the person deciding the appeal must meet stricter criteria than the original reviewer, including advanced qualification in the specialty involved. Section 14, duration of the approval. As updated in the conceptual amendment, Section 14 provides continuity and certainty. Prior authorization remain valid for 6 months. When patient change insurance, prior authorization from the previous plan must be honored for the first 90 days. As long as they were issued within the previous 6 months, the insurer or the insurance provider of healthcare transmitted completed documentation of such approvals in a timely manner. And the specific care in the request is not affirmatively excluded under the new policy. This protects patient undergoing ongoing treatment from unnecessary disruption. On Section 19 is critical that on the timeframes and process, it set clear, enforceable timelines. For non-urgent care, insurer must respond within 7 calendar days. For urgent care, they must respond within 48 hours. If more documentation is needed, the insurer must request it within those same timeframes and then decide within 7 days, non-urgent, or 48 hours, urgent, after receiving it. The section also requires insurer to publish their prior auth procedure and criteria online in a manner that uses clear language that is understandable to an ordinary layperson and in a place that is readily accessible and conspicuous to ensure the public. The conceptual amendment strengthened publication and notice requirements.
Thank you, Toby Yerk, for the record. Section 13 addresses artificial intelligence and its use in prior authorizations. Under the conceptual amendment, if a healthcare uses AI or artificial intelligence or automated decision tools, it may not issue or uphold an adverse determination unless a licensed provider independently reviews and affirms that decision. It also says that insurers must publicly disclose that 1, they use AI, 2, a general explanation of how it works, and 3, the types of data that it relies on. Of course, this ensures that human clinical judgment remains central in the decision-making process. Section 17 requires insurers to publish annual data, including the number of requests, the number of approvals and denials, the numbers of appeals and reversals. as well as the top 5 reasons for denials, the average response times, and disaggregated by specialty and type of care. The conceptual amendment here ensures that this type of information is easily accessible and prohibits disclosure of any personally identifiable information.
Ewing Wing, for the record. Section 18 reinforces accountability on state oversight. Insurer must submit the same data to the Commissioner of Health Insurance, who compiles a biennial report with recommendation for further reform. That report is submitted to the Joint Interim Committees on Health and Human Services and Commerce and Labor. On Section 25, originally, AB 290 included Medicaid, Medicare, and CHIP. However, those provisions have been removed via the conceptual amendment, striking Section 25 to avoid triggering a significant fiscal note and potential federal compliance issues. We remain supportive of extending these protections in the future, but this amendment keeps the bill focused and fiscally viable. Chair, with your permission, if I can bring up Dr. Duncan to speak to these amendments and what these changes will do to the fiscal note.
Chair, committee members, Dr. Keiko Duncan, Division of Healthcare Finance and Policy, Pharmacy Director. We just wanted to state that if the conceptual amendment as proposed is fully accepted, the division's fiscal would be amended to $0.
Ewing Wing, for the record, I thought Dr. Duncan has a 20-minute presentation, but she spared all of you from that. Thank you, Dr. Duncan. The remaining section on Section 20 to 24 apply the rules to nonprofit and self-insured entities, mirror the private insurance reform for Medicaid CHIP in case of future inclusion, Section 26 to 41, and also make necessary statutory conforming changes throughout Nevada law.
Thank you, Chair. Toby Urick for the record. Committee, that is our presentation. We tried to make it clean and concise, and so hopefully you appreciated that. Really what we want to reiterate here is that AB 290 is about restoring balance and fairness to the prior authorization process. It sets enforceable timelines, it clarifies the role of artificial intelligence, it strengthens oversight and ensures that only qualified medical professionals make decisions that are going to impact patient care. So we appreciate your thoughtful consideration of the bill, and Chair, with your permission, we stand ready to entertain the committee's questions.
Thank you for your presentation. And before we move to questions, I do have to say, I know there's been great collaboration on this bill. A lot of people coming together, many stakeholder meetings, so it is very much appreciated. And with that, committee members, are there any questions? Assemblymember Cole.
Thank you very much for this presentation. I think that this is a really important issue, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into it. As I was reading through it, the only question that I had, and maybe it's addressed in the amendment because I wasn't looking at that, is there any concern with further delay when it comes to the levels of approvals and appeals and whatnot, just especially on the specialties? Because I just wonder, would the insurance companies have all of the specialties listed there? Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question, Assemblymember Cole. Toby Urick for the record. What I can tell you now is that this review process is in place, right? So for example, if it's denied, usually it will be reviewed by another provider. Sometimes the provider the licensing requirements might be a little different. They might be using an in-house or MCO, if you're familiar with them, using these types of folks to review it. What we're doing is we're just simply saying that it has to be reviewed by a licensed professional and now within a time frame. So we fully anticipate that this is going to help shorten and accomplish the bill's intended purpose. And it looks like Doc Scotta weigh in as well.
Florence Jameson. Do I spell it again? This bill, it isn't the most transparent thing, even though we're calling for transparency. It's a little complicated. But it puts a big onus on the insurers. But it also is putting a big onus on the doctors and the people asking for prior auth. So for the process, the things that are going to streamline it and not cause more delay is the fact that we have up front, if there's any potential in the first review of adverse determination or denial, the insurance company, it's on them to immediately call within that 7 days, sooner than later, and ask for more documentation and speak to a provider, caregiver, so they get immediately enlightened as to the gravity and urgency as well. So that call is just an amazing thing. The thing is, after that call, if for any reason it is denied, then again, there are same time frame. It could even be denied as early as 2 or 4 days, and then the process is expedited. They don't have to do it at 7, and in most of these companies actually that have short timelines throughout the United States, they do get it back a little sooner. And I think as we evaluate this through the years, it's not going to even be close to the 7 days. As infrastructure is built, technology is done, we're going to be getting it back much faster, but we do need to give them time to build that infrastructure. So the important thing is when the doctor is denied, they're going to make sure it's of the peer, and the doctor has to make, if it's denied often because they lack documentation or explanation because they didn't send it in. So we want to treat that half of it as well. And if that's treated and the doctors step up and give them better documentation, which will be easily done because now we're asking them to post the criteria for passing and prior author denying. So it's both parts have to own up. And here's the safety valve. When you have even subspecialists, which I was quite concerned about, especially our real subspecialists, pediatric gastrologists, all these people, the key thing is if they have time as an urgency, they don't have to do the 7-day. They can submit the 2-day urgent and always get it turned around in 48 hours. So there's an avenue for those things that need a fast turnaround. That's why we chose to follow, which many across the country do for starters, the Medicare standard because it's already built into the system, and theirs is 7 days. And I was very happy with our stakeholders because really 7 days, if you think about it, turns out to be pretty close to the 5 days when you consider when you submit a bill. It's 5 business days, 7 calendar days when you consider weekends, and most go through a weekend. So we were very happy about them working with us in those choices.
I'm not a doctor, but I think everyone would agree that delayed approval, delayed medical care can cost someone's life, and that's unacceptable. Assemblymember Anderson?
Thank you, Chair. And my question is kind of similar along those same lines. It has to do with Section 19, both in the old bill and then also in an amendment. Section 19.2. B, and then it's reported again in C, and that has to do with the 7 days. Is that calendar days? Is that business days? If that clarification, and I guess it's just I'm trying to wrap my head around the time frame.
Ewing Wing for the record. Thank you, Assemblymember Anderson, for the question. Yes, echoing what Dr. Jamison said, it is 7 calendar day.
You may want to amend that to say 7 calendar days.
Ewing Wing for the record. Thank you, Chair, for the feedback. We'll make sure that we'll repeat that word calendar in there. Thank you, Assemblymember Anderson, for that pointing out.
Committee members, any additional questions? Assemblymember Kasama?
I just have to say thank you for adding me as a co-sponsor, and this is a fantastic bill, and as you know, I was working on something like this too, and it's so critical for our family and loved ones with the care that they need, and to get this done timely and efficiently. So thank you for all of your hard work and everybody involved. Thank you.
Committee members, any additional comments or statements? I don't see any. So we will begin with testimony in support of Assembly Bill 290. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in support? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Hello, Sharing Committee members. My name is Saharat Buntha. For the record, it is spelled Saharatbuntha. I am here in support of AB 290. As a first-generation immigrant from Thailand, I had experienced firsthand the challenges of navigating the healthcare system here. Currently, I am studying electrical engineering at University of Nevada, Reno, and I'm a youth fellow at 1 APIA, Nevada. I believe AB 290 will improve the prior authorization process in Nevada's healthcare system while allowing Nevadans, including myself, to receive healthcare without financial worries. Currently, to control treatment costs, many healthcare providers must obtain prior authorization approval from insurance company before delivering medical or dental services. This process is quite lengthy, and often Nevadans pay out of pocket because they can no longer wait, or some even abandon the whole process itself. According to the Nevada's Patient Protection Commission, prior authorization forms are very time-consuming and takes a lot of time away from patient care, which should be the #1 priority. Financial logistics should never delay Nevadans from necessarily health treatment or medication. I urge the committee to pass AB 290 to mitigate these issues. Thank you very much.
Good morning, members of the Assembly. My name is Pauline Lee, and I'm a past president of the Nevada State Medical Association Alliance. I am the spouse of a practicing cardiologist in Clark County. I'm also the sibling of a Clark County physician who renders services in ENT. He's an otolaryngologist. I said it right. I'm testifying in support of AB 290 because the bill gives physicians, hospitals, and all medical providers greater guidance and transparency on coverage for medically necessary emergency services. Health insurance carriers can give prior authorizations and then revoke them, causing our medical providers with little recourse for payment. And although physicians do not go into this extremely rigorous and stressful profession because of money, they do it to save lives. Time is not on the side of physicians when they're trying to save lives. This concern is universal. It is bipartisan. Actually, it's nonpartisan. The last thing that medical providers and hospitals should be worried about in an emergency situation is about insurance coverage. It should be about saving lives. AB 290 is an excellent bill and addresses the concerns of all parties in an emergency medical situation. Please vote in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. I see people are seated already in Las Vegas. You may begin when you're ready.
You want to go? Go. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Renee Ruiz, Renee Ruiz. I'm with National Nurses United, National Nurses Organizing Committee of Nevada, and we represent the interest of 3,000 plus RNs in the state of Nevada. Our membership sees the fallout daily and in real time of delayed care, of people seeking health care. Things can go from a minimal drop into the doctor's office to a catastrophe for a family very quickly, especially when care is denied because of a lapse in pre-authorization. So we are in full support of this bill, and we appreciate Assemblyperson Nguyen and all the co-sponsors for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman and Assembly members. My name is Aida Alaudi. I'm a physician, specialty rheumatology. I am an independent practitioner. I'm here on behalf of my patients and my colleagues. I've seen too much criminal behavior going in total impunity. I'll start with my specialty. I do appreciate that everybody is already can appreciate the impact on patients, but I can also explain the impact on doctors, okay? And we already know what the burnout and the shortage, and will only help a little bit make the situation less impossible, okay? Because it is almost impossible nowadays to practice medicine. I'll make it simple. In my specialty, for example, there are only 4 drugs that I can prescribe and the patient can go straight to the pharmacy and pick up without a prior authorization. And mind you, they're still not cheap, okay? And 2 of those drugs I can't prescribe half of the time because because half the population has fatty liver now. Okay, everything else needs a prior authorization because they're like chemo drugs, okay? They're expensive. It's $8,000 a pop. Some infusions, which are 2 weeks, like one for gout, is like $25,000 each 2 weeks. Okay. Going back to one of the assembly members, and I'm sorry, I'm still new to this. I don't remember everyone's name, but he mentioned the use of AI. I see the use of AI in the most nefarious way every day. It's an automatic denial, even though I make sure, and the lady who does the prior authorization for me, we know the process. We've been doing.
Ma'am,
yes.
can you please wrap up your testimony? Your time is up, and I also need you to please spell your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ida, A-I-D-A, Loudy, L-O-U-D-Y-I. It increases the cost.
Thank you for your testimony.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's it? Do you want me to wrap up or no?
You can go ahead and submit your full testimony in writing to the committee secretary there, and we'll make sure that it is uploaded on Nellis.
Thank you.
The next person may start. Please remember you have 2 minutes. State and spell your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Al Rojas, spelled R-O-J-A-S. I reside in Assembly District 12. I strongly want to ditto the testimony of the young man who was studying electrical engineering. It's so funny. I'm a retired electronics engineer, and I had a similar experience as him, is that you finally gave up and you had to pay for the medical procedure yourself because your insurance took so long. I ended up losing a tooth that was cracked. It was hard to diagnose. For those that know, diagnosing a cracked tooth is very tricky. I finally had to get the right person to diagnose it or to treat it, and it just took forever to get this guy to get my appointment. And when I finally got it, he couldn't work on the tooth, and we had to extract it. It was just a disaster. So I can imagine somebody with a heart condition or anything else. So I strongly support this bill, and I really want to congratulate the testimony of the young man who's studying electronics engineering. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone broadcast. Is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 290, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to testify in support, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Dr. Fan Nguyen, a practicing dentist of 23 years. Every day in private practice, I take in emergency patients who have severe pain and infections and need immediate treatment. Frequently, patients have insurance policy that prohibits same-day treatment and requires a pre-authorization with their insurance company. Oftentimes, patients are unable to take risks for their dental insurance not paying for their treatment. This results in having to delay the treatment, like extractions, root canals, or incision and drainage, to relieve the swelling and pain. As a clinician, I take pride in being thorough and honest with my treatments. I make sure my staff take all necessary diagnostic x-rays, pictures, and thorough documentation to provide proof of medical necessity. Even with that, patient will delay treatment due to insurance coverage because they cannot afford to pay out of pocket, and will ask my staff to submit pre-authorization. When patient's care is deferred, patient's infection will often grow. This will make it result in patient going to ER, resulting in loss of time from work, worsening of patient's general health, and increase in costs from being at the ER. Insurance company should not be a barrier to patients' access to emergency dental care. Insurance company must be prohibited from denying coverage of emergency dental care treatments. As such, I fully support AB 290, and I urge the community to do the same. Thank you, Assemblymember Zingwin, for placing quality patient care as your priority. Thank you.
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition of Assembly Bill 290. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in opposition? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 290, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You each have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Chair Marzola and committee. For the record, Shelley Capurro.
Is your mic on? Oh.
Representing Nevada Association of Health Plans, which is a 10-member organization, and they operate in both the commercial and public markets. And we are happy to be here in neutral on AB 290 as amended. We appreciate the collaborative process that was undertaken on this bill and the many discussions that occurred among the stakeholders to ensure a comprehensive solution to this topic. We know this is not an easy undertaking because healthcare is personal, but we believe the amendment represents a balanced approach that ensures public safety, it maintains healthcare efficacy, and it implements reasonable guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Paul Young with Tom Clark Solutions on behalf of Farm School Care Managers Association. I'd like to echo Ms. Capro's statements and just acknowledge Assemblymember Wynn, Assemblymember Urick, Dr. Edgeworth, Dr. Jamison on this extensive meetings that we've had on AB 290 and to get to where we got to. So thank you to them and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Adam Plain, P-L-A-I-N, with the Nevada Division of Insurance. Did submit some written testimony. Wanted to touch on that real quick. Title 57, the insurance code, very complex. Lots of definitions. There are some suggestions on maybe ways to tighten up the usage of definitions within the bill. Additionally, we've identified a theoretical scenario where the provisions around insurers honoring prior authorizations from other insurers might be abused, bringing that to everyone's attention so that can be addressed if deemed necessary. I did want to mention on that line as well, it looks like, based on the definitions and verbiage used, I wanted to point out that a private or a commercial carrier insurer would be required to honor the prior authorization from an ERISA plan, but because the state doesn't have jurisdiction over ERISA plans, that would not be reciprocal. Just bringing that out for the record. The division does have a fiscal note on the bill, relatively minor compared to DHCFP, related to the reporting requirements. We're still looking at the amendment to see if that can be changed at all. And with the amendment, I did want to point out that the Division of Insurance was, here in Nevada was one of the first state agencies to adopt the National Association of Insurance Commissioners model bulletin on AI use. Looking at the language pertaining to AI, it appears to be in line with what the division currently has as artificial intelligence standards. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in neutral? Is there anyone wishing to testify in neutral of Assembly Bill 290 in Las Vegas? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 290, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. Toby York for the record. Just want to close and say that it has been an honor to be a part of this legislative process, meeting with the stakeholders and working to establish some legislation that we think is going to really find the balance that we need to address in this space. And just a commitment, and I know that I speak for Assemblymember Nguyen at the same time, that the issues that were raised by Mr. Plain, we absolutely will work to refine any definitional challenges or things that we need to do to do the minor tweaks to make sure that this works for everybody, including them. So thank you again for the time today.
I just also wanted to thank Florence Jameson. I just also wanted to thank all of you, and especially because we're creating more work for you going in the future. This is, I think, just a wonderful place to just, leap off from. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of things that I think we've brought all the stakeholders together on. And it's going to create more work for you, but I don't apologize because I have found out that you guys are so busy, it's unbelievable. I can't even comprehend it. I thought as an OBGYN I was busy, but you guys are busier. I get to do mine all year. You guys are compressed. I'm really looking forward, and I think it's going to really tweak this bill and shape it for the years to come with that last part where the insurance commissioner will be reported. You will get reports. You will, at interim, be able to analyze all this data. You will be able to take care of these drugs that are needlessly authorized. You will be able, through the future, really to continue carrying on what we started with 290. So I thank you, and I'm sorry about the extra work, but I'm so happy about it.
Ewing Wing for the record. Thank you, Dr. Jameson. I'm so excited I can't talk. This process has been amazing. I learned a lot. I learned so much that my parents said, why don't you go to school and be a doctor? And I said, no, with all this knowledge, I think I'm good. But I know that there are folks out there that need our help, and I appreciate all of your support on this. And we're still looking for more sponsors. So if anyone else would like to jump on, we would love to have you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you again for your presentation. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 290. I will now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 225, which revises provisions relating to licensing of certain professions and occupations. Assembly member, you may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Ewing Wing, for the record, and thank you for having me twice in a row. I know that this is a long hearing, and I want to make sure that I do not contribute to that. Good afternoon. Again, for the record, my name is Ewing Wing. I have the honor of representing Assembly District 8 in Southwest Las Vegas. Thank you again for having me to present Assembly Bill 225, a transformative piece of legislation that seeks to revolutionize our cosmetology and barbering industries here in Nevada for the better. AB 225 aimed to modernize Nevada cosmetology and barber industry by eliminating unnecessary barriers that have burdening aspiring professionals, promoting comprehensive training, and encouraging business innovation. Cosmetology and barbering are vital parts of our state's economy. These professions provide essential services to thousands of Nevada daily, and the people who enter these fields should be able to do so without facing unnecessary obstacle. The AANHPI community, which I have the honor to represent, 30% of them are in Assembly District 8, and the fastest growing population in Nevada, make up a large portion of this field. Yet current licensing requirements often make it more difficult than necessary for those looking to follow their passion and pursue a career in these fields. Nevada is on the bottom of many lists, but in this case, Nevada is at the top of the list for how hard it is to get a barbering and cosmetology license. Nevada is currently, I apologize, AB 225 would address these problems heads-on by reducing unnecessary barriers while maintaining public safety and consumer protection. I have spent months also working on this bill with various stakeholders and constituents. This is still a work in progress, but is an example of how compromise can happen in our roles. So to help me present AB 225 is Jennifer McDonald, Assistant Director of Activism with the Institute for Justice, that helped with AB 225 to provide an overview. Ms. McDonald? Apologize, we're supposed to have a slide. Ewing Wing, for the record. Let me see what that is.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jennifer McDonald for the record. Thank you for having me here today to talk about AB 225 and all of the opportunities that it will provide to many talented professionals within Nevada. As Assemblymember Nguyen said, we are bringing Assembly Bill 225 because Nevada makes it so difficult to become a barber or cosmetologist. Our research at the Institute for Justice shows that it is harder to become a barber in Nevada than in any other state in the country, and that there are only 5 other states in the country that make it more difficult to become a cosmetologist. So what this bill will do is reduce some of the barriers to enter the beauty and barbering professions, with the goal of making sure that individuals have access to these professions. We are not deregulating, we are not getting rid of these licenses. All we're doing is bringing Nevada back in line with national best practices as well as best practices from the international beauty and barbering industry. So to go over the bill a bit on the things that it does. AB 225 would exempt the limited service of blow-dry styling from the state's current 1,000-hour hair designer license, which currently requires full service training in cutting and chemicals before a professional can even use a brush and a blow dryer on a client. The tools that are used in blow-dry styling, like getting a blowout or having your hair curled for a special event, are things that we all do in our homes every single day. The equipment is the same, and it is an incredibly safe practice. So by exempting blow-dry styling from the hair designer license, Nevada will come in line with 8 other states in the country that are currently doing this. Arizona and Utah are 2 neighbors of yours that do this, and there are other states across the country that are embracing this newer reform as something that makes sense to let people enter the industry at the ground level. The bill also makes some small tweaks to the remaining requirements for shampooing, hair braiding, and makeup artistry that are pretty minor, but again, just brings those back into national best practice land. The bill will also allow unlicensed individuals to cut hair under the direct supervision of licensed barbers and cosmetologists. So this already happens in the case of an apprenticeship or while an individual is in beauty or barbering school. But this would allow individuals to do that without having to first commit to the thousands of dollars in education and all of the hours that it takes to go through an apprenticeship and or school. So the idea behind this is that if I was a salon owner, AB 225 would allow me to hire somebody, entry level, maybe straight out of high school, to wash hair, to dry hair, and do those things at my salon without a license. Once I start working with them, I think, okay, they seem to really have a knack for this. I like them. I'm going to start teaching them how to cut hair, and I can teach them how to cut hair under my direct supervision. Once they get used to that, and maybe they decide they have a knack for it, and they say, you know what, I do want to commit to going to barbering or cosmetology school to get my full licensure so I can become a fully licensed stylist. Or they may decide this isn't for me, and that way they've learned that without having to commit to all of the time and money that it takes to become fully licensed. And so the idea behind this bill is to really just increase those options for individuals. Some additional things that the bill does, and I believe we have an amendment on the board. So the bill does not touch the full service licensure hours for cosmetology, which are 1,600, or for the hair designer license, which is 1,000, but it does reduce the hours for barbering from 1,500 to 1,000. Currently, Nevada requires 1,500 hours of education in a barbering school, and then after that's completed, an additional 18 months of an apprenticeship. Only 2 other states require an apprenticeship after education, requiring both, and Nevada requires time longer. That's why you guys are ranked #1 as the most heavily licensed state for barbering. So this bill would reduce those classroom hours for folks who decide to go the classroom route, and it would also allow folks to decide to do their licensure training either in barbering school or as an apprentice. Barbers have been trained through apprenticeships for hundreds of years. This is how it works in the UK and in several members of the European Union without any issues. And so that's the model that we're trying to bring here as well. There are a couple other minor things that the bill does in terms of allowing barbers and cosmetologists to work together in the same facility, improving recognition of out-of-state barber licenses, eliminating the arbitrary good moral character requirements that you see in a lot of occupational licenses, getting rid of some outdated invasive health testing requirements, as well as getting rid of the requirement that in order to do an apprenticeship to become a licensed cosmetologist, you have to live more than 60 miles away from your nearest cosmetology school. So that is an overview. The bill does a lot. So I just wanted to touch for a couple things on the issue of health and safety. So study after study demonstrates that higher licensing requirements do not meaningfully improve the quality of services or health and safety. Our most recent study analyzed thousands of health inspections across 4 states for barbershops and nail salons, which are not touched by this bill, but they were in our study. And the results are very clear. These businesses were clean and safe, regardless of whether the state had no licensing, a moderate amount of licensing, or a high, and when I say a high amount of licensing, I mean a lot of hours to get that license. So as you can see on the slide, these salons always pass inspection because they are professionals who know what they are doing, regardless of how much time they had to spend to get qualified to do so. It's important to note that Nevada law requires only 3% of the total hours of mandatory training for cosmetologists and hair designers to be dedicated to infection control and prevention. But the code also allows for up to 5% of those hours to be earned through modeling or field trips, which includes coming to the Capitol today to talk about this bill. So there's more time that's allowed to do that than there is to sanitation and training. And so the 1,600 and the 1,500 hours that require that sanitation, those high amounts of hours do not justify the need for health and safety because such little time is spent on sanitation training. And lastly, I'll leave you with one more study that we did that looked at cosmetology school across the country. So we found that in Nevada, cosmetology school costs on average over $20,000, leading students to take on thousands of dollars of debt and on average around $8,000 in federal student loans just to get through cosmetology school. Our research also shows that Nevada schools are only graduating 12% of students on time. So that means 88% of Nevada's cosmetology school students are spending more and more time in school, spending more money on school. And so I'll wrap up real quick. To conclude, this bill is about the options. That there is a tremendous amount of economic growth that this bill will create by allowing salon owners, by allowing beauty and barbering professionals and other workers to enter the industry and to learn how they learn best. It protects public health and safety and makes sure that students are getting the training that they need that will best equip them for the industry. So we are here standing with countless Nevada cosmetologists and barbers who support this message and understand that it's time for the industry to change. You'll hear from several of them later during this hearing. But I just wanted to point out that we are very proud of them for bravely standing up. There's a lot of entrenched interest in this issue. And so we're really proud of the folks that were able to come here today and come to Vegas to tell you their stories. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Chair. Yui Wing, for the record, if I have your permission, I'll go over quickly the conceptual amendment. Section 1 of the bill of the conceptual exempt the practices of blow dry styling, hair braiding, and shampoo technology from the provision governing massage therapy. Section 2 require licensed barber who supervise an apprentice participating in a federally registered apprentice program to train the apprentice in all subjects of practical work and related supplemental instruction for the scope of a license as a barber. Section 4 exempt a person engaging in certain practices from the application of provision governing barbers and the practice of barbering. Section 5, allow a person who has completed 1,000 hours of training in a barbering school approved by the board or who has completed 2,000 hours of training, including 144 hours of related supplemental instruction under an agreement with a sponsoring barbershop in a federally registered apprenticeship program to receive license as a barber. This section also eliminates the requirement for a person to have chest x-rayed, which indicate he or she does not have tuberculosis, and a blood test that indicate he or she does not have any communicable disease. Section 6 removes certain requirement for a license as an apprentice and exempt a person who is participating in the federally registered apprenticeship program to pass an examination conducted by the board. Section 7 eliminates the requirement that an applicant for a barber's license or as an apprentice file a physician's certification that he or she is free from TB and other communicable diseases. Section 8 requires a person who has a license or certificate for a scope of practice that is substantially the same as the practice of barbering to be admitted to practice as a licensed barber or apprentice pursuant to regulation adopted by the board. Section 10 requires barbershop to provide written notice to customer before commencing their service or provide a legible sign notifying a customer that he or she is receiving a service from an apprentice who is participating in a federally registered apprenticeship program. Section 11 provides that a person who holds a license to operate a barbershop is not prohibited from leasing space, employing, or working in the same space as a person who is a licensed cosmetologist, and a licensed barber and a licensed cosmetologist are not required to work in different spaces in the barbershop or to have partition between them. Section 12 required the board to issue a license as an instructor under certain circumstances. Section 47 repeals certain provision relating to the examination for license as a hair braider or shampoo technologist and the registration of makeup artists. Section 20 exempt a person engaged in only practice of shampoo technology, hair braiding, or makeup artistry from obtaining a license from State Board of Cosmetology. Sections 7, 18, 21, 34 through 37, 39, 40, and 42 through 47 eliminate references to shampoo technologists, hair braider, and makeup artists in provision governing the licensure and regulation of persons licensed by the board. Section 22, 24, 26, 27, 29, and 31 revise the requirement to be admitted to a license examination as a cosmetologist, hair designer, advanced esthetician, nail technologist, or electrologist to allow certain requirements to be fulfilled by completing training in the federally registered apprenticeship program. So I am proposing an amendment to subsection 4 of section 22 to retain 1,600 hours of training as a cosmetologist at a board-approved cosmetology school. So that's just to further highlight that we're keeping this hour requirement, so we're not taking that out. 1,600 hours of training for cosmetology license will still be in place with the amendment. And then the amendment to subsection 4 of section 24 is to retain 1,000 hours of training as a hair designer at a board-approved cosmetology school. So that those are going back in. Section 23, 25, 28, and 30 revised the requirement for the issuance of a registration certificate as an apprentice for a cosmetologist, hair designer, esthetician, and a nail technologist, respectively, and allow for such certificate to be issued to a person in the federally registered apprentice program. Section 33 eliminate that a required person who licensed in another state, territory, or the District of Columbia providing satisfactory proof to the State Board of Cosmetology that he or she is of good moral character in order to be granted a license to practice the occupation in which the applicant was previously licensed. Section 41 revises provision governing procedure for the training and practice of apprentices for cosmetologists, esthetician, electrologist, hair designer, and nail technologist. Section 42 authorizes an operator of a cosmetological establishment or a person who's licensed under provision governing cosmetology to work in the same space as a barber and cosmetological establishment. Currently, unless a person is licensed or registered in accordance with provision governing cosmetology and related practices, it is unlawful for the person to conduct or operate a cosmetological establishment, school, or any other place of business in which any one or a combination of the occupation are taught or practiced unless the person is licensed to do so. Section 46 specifies this prohibition does not apply to a person who participates in the federally registered apprenticeship program. So Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I know there's a lot of languages through here, and it's just a lot of things that we're trying to work on, and it's still a work in progress. We have stakeholders. We're still continuing to hold a stakeholders meeting. We want to make sure that we make this work for everyone and give folks an ability to participate in this industry without sacrificing safety, without sacrificing licensing. I just wanted to reiterate that point because a lot of the narrative out there are saying this bill is seek to eliminate licensing or eliminate safety. This is not it. And that's why I want to make sure I leave you with that before we stand ready for a question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your presentation. We will start with questions. We will start with Assemblymember Roth.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you so much for the presentation. It never surprises me. There's always some bills that I get a lot of outreach from my constituents on, and this was one of them. One issue that was raised for me, and I'm hoping you can help me understand it a little better, is it was brought to me that there can be some issues with transferring credits amongst the schools, barber schools in particular. And so I'm wondering how many schools exist in this state, and then are there barriers to becoming a teacher, however they're referred to? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Jennifer McDonald, for the record. We actually have a few practitioners with us who are experts on barber schooling and instructors and things like that. So we could have them answer that question if that's okay with the chair's permission. Can you answer that? Yeah.
Remember to please state your name for the record and spell it.
My name is Gabriel Herrera, and there are 4 barber schools in Las Vegas alone. As far as transferring credits between the schools, I'm not very familiar with. I think somebody could speak better to the cosmetology portion of that. I think that was a bigger problem between schools. But as far as the barbering schools, there are 4. That's the part of it I can answer.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. So are we having issues? It was brought to me from a constituent that there can be issues with somebody attending one barber school, moving maybe across the state. I'm from the north, for example, and wanting to attend another barber school, but their credits or the hours don't transfer to the new barber school, so they have to start over with. So I'm wondering, does this bill address that at all, or is that a barrier that we're seeing for students across the state?
Jennifer McDonald, for the record. So this bill does not address that specific problem, and we have heard of that problem. The schools, as far as I understand, are permitted to decide to accept or not accept the hours from another school, a competitor school, whether they want to or not. This bill doesn't address that issue.
Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The phone a friend at the table stated how many barber schools there are down south. I have 2 questions. One, are there any barber schools here in northern Nevada?
I'm Gabriel Herrera. Forgive me, I'm not very familiar with the north. I own barbershops out of Las Vegas, so.
Madam Chair, 2 follow-ups. Is there a standardized training for barber schools? So no matter where you're attending throughout the state, you have to be taught the same thing? And then are there waiting lists, or are there still open seats for the barber schools? And then on top of that, how many classes are offered per year?
Again, Gabriel Herrera. So there are waiting lists depending on the barber school you want to go to. As far as I know, there is one test, both practical and written, for all students that attend whichever barber school, but it's one standardized test. So I have to assume all of the curriculum have to meet the same standards.
Jennifer McDonald for the record, and the number of hours that are required for the curricula are in the code.
Good. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett.
Thank you, Chair. I have a couple questions. So I know that this would allow for currently licensed barbers to then provide instruction to individuals that have no training, they might not have any type of sanitation training, which I think is extremely important in cosmetology services. What are the requirements for those individuals, and where in this bill does it outline what those what that requirement is? Because I don't think just having a license should allow for you to instruct somebody on how to do this type of work.
Jennifer McDonald for the record. This would work similarly to how the restaurant industry is regulated. And so, the establishment itself is required to maintain health and safety standards. The individual servers have their own health and safety training, right? But we trust also that the experts in the field are going to train the folks that work for them. So in the salon context, right, if I hire somebody to come in and work in my shop, first, basic sanitation is very basic to understand. And as a business owner, from what we hear from practitioners is that they teach their people that work in their salons and their barbershops very explicitly how to maintain that sanitation training.
Thank you. And I guess that's definitely a point of contention that I'm not going to be comfortable with. But I also would like to understand what the point is. As somebody who gets some of these services, right? Like I might go to a salon and get my hair washed, or I might go get my makeup done for an event. What is the reasoning for eliminating? Because this bill does, I know you stated, Assemblymember, that this bill does not eliminate any licenses, but it does currently, as written, eliminate multiple sections, and then also with that, those sanitation requirements. And so I'm just trying to understand what the purpose of eliminating those current licensed programs are, because I do think that there is a lot of reasons why people should go get a license and get some of these examination before they're providing these essential services.
Yu Wing for the record. Thank you, Assemblymember Torres Fawcett, for the question. I just want to make sure that, and apologize for that, misspoke earlier. The removing licenses on the major program, which is the cosmetologist program, as well as the barbering program, the licensing requirement is still there. There are sections of the bill that we are seeking to remove licensing requirement from hair braiders and shampoo technologists and makeup artists at this point. Those two out of three of those requirements actually is similar licensing process. For example, they must take classes and instruction and then go take a test, and then it would be a certificate of registration, but it's a similar licensing requirement, so they're being put in the same category. We're seeking to remove those categories in terms of licensing or certificate of registration. I should be more clear on that one, that the hair braiders, the shampoo technologists, and the makeup artists will be exempt from licensing requirement in terms of this particular bill.
Would we be able to get clarification on that, Chair? Because as I read this bill, it completely eliminates those sections of the NRS, and that's on page 34 of this bill. So we're actually eliminating makeup artists, shampoo techs, and hair braiding licensure here in the state.
Are you looking at the bill itself or the amendment?
It's in both, Chair. Page 34 of the original bill as written, and then the last page of the amendment. They're not numbered.
Jennifer McDonald for the record. So currently, to shampoo in Nevada, you have to have a shampooist license, and that requires 50 hours of training. So we would eliminate that license for shampooing. To conduct natural hair braiding in Nevada, you have to take an exam to work legally. So we would eliminate that exam. They're not actually licensed hair braiders. 36 states in DC fully exempt natural hair braiding from licensure. And then makeup artists as well don't need a license in Nevada, but they do have to register with the state. And so we would eliminate that registration requirement as well. And 17 states right now fully exempt makeup artists from licensure or registration.
Committee members, are there any additional questions? Assemblymember Miller.
Thank you so much, Chair. I wanted to go back about the comments in the presentation that were made about the graduation rates. First, I do want to remind everyone, since I've brought two pieces of legislation to this body about FAFSA applications, that students should be filling out FAFSA applications because obviously all of this training would apply. But also when it comes to the numbers of graduation, and there was a comment made about how long it takes, and it's my understanding that for this type of training, these schools, it's also up to the student to go part-time, full-time, and how many hours they complete on their journey. But with that, can someone answer how many students are graduating now and what's the average length of time, and how would this bill, as amended, address that? Should we expect to see increased rates of graduation and increased school completion time? And if you could tell us the impact that would come from that.
Jennifer McDonald for the record. Assemblymember, I think with that 12% graduation on time, statistics shows us is that right now schools are not adequately serving our students. We hear from cosmetology and barbering professionals that they don't learn what they need to learn in school, that they learned from other students, that they learned from YouTube, that they learned on the job. And so the idea behind the bill is to give students an opportunity to learn on the job through apprenticeship if they don't learn as well in school. And so that provides that flexibility so that they can enter the industry in a way that makes sense for them financially, in a way it makes sense for them supporting their families, in how they learn and that sort of thing. Does that answer your question a bit?
Not necessarily follow-up, Chair. Okay, specifically, if you could answer how many are graduating now, what the rates are, and the average completion time, and then how this bill would increase the number of graduates we have and decrease the length of time it takes to complete. And I just had a follow-up, Chair, because of something you said about learning from others and stuff, which is every profession, right? Mm-hmm. But also I know that many of our College of Beauties and such offer, because people need hours, they need additional practice, and so they offer the public to come in and have students work on them and perform different services. So I was just wondering, are those hours as they're working on the public, are those not counted as or considered like an on-the-job training, especially because legally they're supposed to be under the supervision of an instructor?
Jennifer McDonald for the record. I would have to look at our research to get you that exact number for how many are graduating in the amount of time, but I can get back to you on that. In terms of how, I don't think that this bill is not intended to address that graduation rate on time. We just mentioned that to show that obviously something isn't working, and then that's an indication for change. But I'll let our friend James talk about the specifics on hours for cosmetology school.
James Anthony for the record, JAMESANTHONY. I'm not sure I understood the question thoroughly. I know that there was a transferable hour question that I could have answered, but I'm not sure on this one.
The question was just, will this bill assist in increasing the number of graduates and also reducing the amount of time it takes them to complete school?
I would say, for me, this is like specialization thing. Utah just passed that hair cutting itself, they only need 100. Your name, please. Oh, James Anthony, sorry. James Anthony for the record. Utah just passed a hair cutting bill that is only 150 hours for hair cutting. So it's not deregulating the market, it's more opening it up and expanding it for these little things. There are salons that have coloring only. There are salons that have hair cutting only. There are specializations with every student. We don't need an overall regulation and even accumulation for cosmetology, in my opinion, because some hairstylists don't want to learn nails, some makeup artists don't want to learn hair. So that, to me, is kind of the big perspective. I didn't know if that answers your question.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Gabriel Herrera. Just want to interject a little bit from what I've learned on the barber side of things. with this bill, and the reason why I'm in support of it, it does provide different paths to get to the licensure, right? And you can choose the path. So currently there's one way, and it doesn't matter where you are in life. If you are already have responsibilities and you want to enter this field, foregoing full-time employment and paying for school full-time is a very difficult choice for many people, which is why I think they fall out and don't complete their training. The apprentice option allows those to learn and earn at the same time. And it's pretty heavy. It's 2,000 hours of apprenticeship that gets added to this with an additional 144 hours of supplemental training, which can handle your health and sanitation portion. Because of course, as a business owner, I'm very concerned about that because I have to pay insurance, right? So I must say that I believe that your graduation rates would improve because those that chose that path, it was a choice to go the school route versus going on the apprentice route. Because those that want to get there and must earn on the way, it might take a while, have the option to do so. Thank you.
Committee members, any additional questions? So I have a couple. Just so I understand correctly, if I wanted to be a barber, I can either go to school or I can be an apprentice, correct?
Gabriel Herrera. So currently, no. Currently, you must finish barber school, then become apprentice.
I meant this bill.
Yes.
If this legislation was passed, I could go to school or I can be an apprentice.
Absolutely, yes.
So this is a concern that I have. School teaches you the fundamentals, correct? You may be a great teacher at your shop, but the one next door or somewhere else, that may not be the case, right? And someone may not be taught the correct way. So to me, it puts the public at harm. So that's my first concern. And someone said earlier that becoming a barber is very difficult here. So is it the schooling? Is it the apprenticeship after the schooling, or is it the testing after? Is the board taking a long time to process these applications? Can you talk to me about that?
Jennifer McDonald for the record, and thank you for that question, Madam Chair. So our study at the Institute for Justice called License to Work, we look at 102 lower income occupations across the country, and we analyze them in a way that allows us to compare them and rank kind of where states stand and where the occupations stand. So Nevada ranks as the most burdensome state for barbering because of that 1,500 hours of school and then the additional 18 months of apprenticeship. That translates to about 896 days lost to that education and training requirement. So that is the big one, but there are 2 other states that do require the education plus apprenticeship. But they rank lower than Nevada because they have fewer exams. So Nevada requires 4 different exams to become a barber. Nevada also requires you to be 18 to become a barber, and some of those other states allow you to become a barber at 16 or 17. And so that's where that kind of ranking comes between 1 and 2. But it's mostly the time combined of the school and the apprenticeship that contributes to that ranking.
Thank you for that answer. So wouldn't one of the solutions be just to lessen the hours of the apprenticeship rather than eliminate the schooling totally?
Jennifer McDonald for the record. That could be an option, Madam Chair, but the problem is that it is difficult for certain individuals to get to a barber school, particularly if they live in a rural area where there is no barber school. Barber school can be very expensive. They can't earn money while they're learning, while they're in barber school. And because barbering has been taught through apprenticeship for hundreds and hundreds of years, both in this country and abroad, and that seems to have worked. And so we're just trying to take that best practice to understand that school doesn't necessarily work for everybody.
Thank you. How many other states have passed legislation to where someone can choose either school or an apprenticeship?
Jennifer McDonald for the record. I'd have to get the exact number for you, but I just looked at this list the other day. There are only 3 that I mentioned that require both. There are, I would guess, a handful that require only education, and the rest of the states, the majority of states, do allow either education or apprenticeship to get a barber license.
If you can give the committee manager that list, please, so that I can provide it to the committee. I believe those are all my questions. Oh, go ahead.
Gabriel Herrera, if I could provide some additional clarity on the health and sanitation portion and being able to educate apprentices in the individual shops. Currently, any shop or barbershop must be inspected, and any barbershop owner must designate registered barber responsible for the shop. So, and it makes clear that when you do this registration, that they understand all laws and provisions and will maintain them. And at any time, an inspector can come through unscheduled and do an inspection of your shop. You must uphold those standards. So anybody who is designated must be a registered barber and must make sure that everybody is adhering to all applicable laws, because it does result in a fine if somebody does not. So it's in any owner's best interest or manager's best interest to make sure that all those standards are maintained in the shop, and every rule and regulation is followed in the shop, if that helps.
Thank you. Assemblymember Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the second question. You've talked about the fee, about going to the barber school and instead training under a licensed professional. Is there anything in the bill that would prevent the licensed professional for charging a fee to the apprentice for their services?
Jennifer McDonald for the record. There's nothing in the bill that talks about that specifically. I don't know if any of you happen to know if that's something that's already in code or not. But we don't touch on it in the bill.
Committee members, any additional questions? I don't see any. We will move to testimony in support. I just want to remind everyone that we will take 30 minutes of support testimony, 10 minutes here in Carson City, 10 minutes in Las Vegas, and 10 minutes on the phone. Each person has 2 minutes. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in support of Assembly Bill 225? Once you're done testifying, if you could get up so the next person could come. You may begin when you're ready.
Gabriel Herrera. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm asking for your support of Bill AB 225. I'm grateful to have the opportunity today to share how the current barber laws and regulation impact those I'm responsible for, those I've personally encountered, and myself, both professionally and personally. My wife and I own and operate 2 franchise barbershops in Las Vegas. My daughter is a registered barber and a licensed cosmetologist whose journey we personally witnessed because we, thank God, had the means to pay for it. After $17,000, 11 months of school, and working for 18 months, she learned that her passion was cutting men's hair. She asked us to help her pursue barbering because for cosmetologists to cross over and attend barber school, it cost $5,000 and 10 weeks full-time. And she had to sacrifice her full-time income in the salon. Luckily for her, my wife and I have always supported and encouraged our children to pursue their passion. I've encountered cosmetologists who have been cutting men's hair professionally for 20 years that I cannot hire. Not many folks are in a position to give up or severely impact their financial situation for almost 3 months. I have met several licensed barbers making a living out of state, and I have begrudgingly turned them away because they have been barbering for less than 5 years. Some of those are told that they have to go back to barber school to make up for the hours their state did not require. I myself have forgone the notion of pursuing a barber license due to the current requirements. Having several years in the Marine Corps, cutting hair for myself, my friends, my 3 sons and nephews. I considered it a passion worth pursuing as a second career after retiring from a rewarding data center career.
Mr. Herrera, if you can please wrap up your testimony, your 2 minutes is up.
You have a copy, so I'll stop.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Your mic is off, I believe.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Savannah Harmon, and I am the owner of Salon Culture and Suites in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have nearly 2 decades of experience as a cosmetologist in hair care and mentorship within my industry. I am here today in support of AB 225. As a salon owner that is experiencing firsthand the ramifications of our state's burdensome restrictions on apprenticeship opportunities to the beauty and barber industry specifically, the 60-mile rule prohibits salons like mine at the epicenter of Vegas from being considered an educational resource from the onset. My salon has the capacity to employ 25 to 50 full and part-time individuals. Since opening my business, I have struggled to meet the demand due to the lack of qualified professionals that meet basic salon requirements and can keep up with the fast pace of the business. My salon serves a diverse client base, mostly a marginalized segment of population that is characterized by curly, kinky, coily, textured hair, and who patronizes businesses like mine consistently. Curriculum in the beauty schools fails to include all textures of hair, so students are not proficient in serving the demand of this population. In turn, my business continues to incur increased costs for additional training and prolonged training that exceeds the 100 hours per year our industry estimates should take for a license holder. Often us owners are working from a deficit of a training debt after we've invested time and money into these professionals who are also burdened by their own school debt. They too have invested into their education and are not equipped to earn the revenue intended had they been able to have real-world experiences on the job from the beginning. To say yes to AB 225 is saying yes to providing our industry with an opportunity to have a stable workforce that will aid future beauty and barber professionals in long-term career opportunities that will benefit us economically and equitably. Yes to bridge the gap between school and real-world on-the-job experiences. Yes to improving completion rates, lowering job turnovers. Yes to being able to work and earn in their trained field, and ultimately, yes to affording opportunities to disproportionate groups.
If I can get you to wrap
That
your
concludes.
testimony, thank you.
That concludes. Thank you.
Thank you. If you can get up so the next person can go. Thanks.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Winky Lui, spelled W-I-N-G-K-I-L-U-I, and I am a youth fellow at One API Nevada, where we advocate for the interests of all Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. We strongly support Assembly Bill 225 by allowing individuals to obtain licenses through alternative training pathways. We can enable those with sufficient hands-on experience to enter the profession without facing unnecessary barriers. This approach is especially important for individuals who may not be able to afford traditional schooling, but have developed their skills through real-world experience. We hope you will support AB 225 as it will promote fairness and enable individuals to pursue careers in their respective fields. Thank you.
James Anthony for the record, Jamesanthony. Thank you, Madam Chairperson Marzola and members of the committee. Thank you for letting me speak with you today. To preface the next 2 minutes, I'd like to say this bill is not about how current cosmetology schools and salons operate. It's about the future and potential of specialized boutique small business creation built by students who may just be coming out of school. It's about healthy competition and healthy economics, school or an apprenticeship. Additionally, services like blow-dry styling, makeup application, shampooing, and natural hair braiding don't require cutting or chemicals and present minimal risks. Licensing does not equate to safety or fair labor. Purchasing a shampoo basin, nail technician tools, perm supplies for new students wanting to open up a boutique eyelash bar or blow-dry bar or a wig install salon is unnecessary and a burden. These are the requirements of the State Board of Cosmetology of Nevada to do business. Minimally trained students perform unpaid services on paying customer in school while unlicensed, allowing schools to profit twice. For licensed professionals like myself, these reforms are about more than just numbers. They're about right to work and fair competition. Salon to salon each have their own probationary periods, some up to 2 years training and guiding their new hires' craft before they can even build clientele after licensure. It is the board's responsibility to interact with the public. It is not within the Cosmetology Board's jurisdiction to investigate complaints based on quality and/or design of services or technical competency of the individual. All present opposition in favor of criminalizing students and potential future leaders in the industry greatly limits specialization in many already large markets. It also allows for cosmetology schools to monopolize emerging markets in real time, as it has with barbering. In truly free market, every school or salon owner has a choice to train an apprentice at will, not force. Every one of us has suffered from the cost of compliance in these past years. Now we have the opportunity to enhance Nevada's economic growth and competitiveness. In conclusion, I urge the community to support Assemblymember Nguyen's proposed reforms with Lieutenant Governor Anthony's backing. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Whoever's next may begin.
Hello, my name is Patrina Morrell, also known as Miss Cherry Ann. I am a salon and a barber shop owner, a prior instructor, cosmetologist in Las Vegas. 29 years ago, I opened up the first Black Native American female-owned barber shop. In fact, 2 barbers have also established barber schools here in the state of Nevada that came from my barber salon. At my salon today, House of Extensions, we provide a variety of services and training opportunities. It's very important to me that I can train aspiring stylists in my own salon and provide them with a modern experience they need to get started. Currently, anyone who wants to be a hairstylist or a braider has to attend traditional schooling, cosmetology schooling. Of students, stylists also have to spend hours learning about services they have no interest in performing, especially if they only want to be safe services like blow drying, styling, and braiding and shampooing. At my salon, I'll train my stylists, giving them experience in a salon from day one rather than having to spend months in the classroom. I know that with my teaching, individuals in my salon are ready to start contributing, and they shouldn't need government permission to provide these services. Under my provision, they can learn how to cut and style hair before deciding to go through with the time and expense of training. If I've been cutting hair for almost 3 decades, I feel confident that I can oversee people in my own salon. It's important to establish stylists like me to be able to oversee aspiring stylists and manage our own apprenticeship program. I've in 39 years, not to take away from any schools, in fact, I've served and I've instructed instructors how to teach students, so students would not have to teach each other. This program, like mine, can provide an alternative to traditional.
Can you please wrap up your testimony?
Okay.
Your time's up.
Thank you.
And if you could also at the end state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Patrina Morrell, and thank you for your time, and I hope you will support this reform.
Can you spell your name?
Oh, Morrell, Patrina, P-A-T-R-I-N-N-A, last name M-U-R-R-E-L-L. Thank you.
Cesar Minera, chairperson, esteemed members of the committee. I am the Grassroots Engagement Director for the Libre Initiative Nevada, one of the largest Latino organizations dedicated to empowering the Hispanic community in Nevada and across the nation. On behalf of the Libre Initiative, I'm here to express our strong support for Assembly Bill 225. AB 225 represents a meaningful step toward removing unnecessary barriers to opportunity in Nevada. For far too long, licensing requirements in the beauty industry have created obstacles that disproportionately impact hardworking individuals from immigrant and minority communities, especially Latinos, who are eager to pursue a better life through skilled trades. In many Latino households, barbering, braiding, and cosmetology are more than just careers. They are generational callings and vital sources of income. However, the current regulatory structure often requires hundreds of hours of schooling and costly licensing procedures that do not always reflect the real-world skills these professionals already possess. These barriers can delay or even block entry into the industry, preventing individuals from supporting their families and growing their own businesses. AB 225 helps change that by streamlining requirements and recognizing traditional and cultural methods of practice, This bill will open doors for thousands of Nevadans who are ready to work, serve their communities, and contribute to our state's economy. This legislation brings us closer to the promise of the American dream, where hard work, talent, and dedication are rewarded, not regulated out of reach. For many Latinos entrepreneurs, AB 225 would make it possible to turn a passion into a profession, to open a shop, hire others, and build a future here in Nevada. I urge the committee to support AB 225 and help ensure that Nevada is a state where opportunity is accessible to all, regardless of background. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good afternoon, Assembly members. My name is Pauline Lee, spelled L-E-E, and I am a board member of Keystone Corporation, a nonpartisan pro-business advocacy group. Two of the key missions of Keystone Corporation is to advocate for private sector job creation and responsible regulation. Those two things create opportunity. Opportunity for small businesses. After all, small businesses are the lifeblood and engine of any economy. An opportunity for people to find gainful, productive employment, which reduces poverty and reduces the need for welfare programs. Government regulation should be minimal to enable our citizens to work for a living, reduce the likelihood of poverty, and diversify our economy. To that end, I request that this body approve AB 225, as the provisions have sufficient amount of safeguards and transparency to allow these workers to gain employment and for them to make a living for themselves and their families. This bill requires transparency to the consumers, which is extremely important, and that we have not seen in other bills as well. This disclosure is important to the consumers so that they understand that the person who is giving them services is an apprentice. This disclosure is in writing, and there will be appropriate signage. Accordingly, I support AB 225, and I hope that you will too. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is Maurice Washington, like the state, like the president, spelt the same. I'm here in behalf of AFP, Americans for Prosperity, as a legislative liaison. I wanted to talk particularly about the bill as it provides alternative pathways, some exemptions for specialties, maintaining public safety and consumer satisfaction. One of your members asked the question in regards to Northern Nevada. I've lived in Northern Nevada for some time and been around this industry for some time as well. Of course, my current condition will not lend itself to that, to my statement, but I have worked with some of these young barbers and cosmetologists and beauticians. I can tell you this, that the transfer of credits or transfer of hours and credits was a good question. I think it's one that should be considered and looked at, and we'd like to work with the author and the sponsor of the bill to kind of see that transfer is amenable. And then also to answer the question as far as barbershops, schools that are in Northern Nevada, there is one currently. Prior to the one being established, there was none. So in order to obtain your licensure, you had to travel to Sacramento, go to school, come back, and then try to obtain your hours to obtain your license in Northern Nevada. This bill would lend itself in helping alternative pathways, especially for those that are in Northern Nevada, as the industry continues to change, as Northern Nevada continues to grow, and the requirements of these services are looked for and necessary for certain employment opportunities, as well as those that seek a profession in this industry sector. So I would and ask that if we have the opportunity to work with the sponsor, if he so desires to amend this bill for its passage, to work with him in answering some of the questions that have been presented here this afternoon.
Thank you for your testimony. This will be the last testimony that we will take here in Carson City before leaving to Las Vegas. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Joe Hill, Policy Analyst with the Retail Association of Nevada. We support AB 225 as it modernizes Nevada's licensing framework for barbers, cosmetologists, massage therapists, and similar occupations, removing unnecessary barriers and allowing quicker entry into the workforce. By simplifying apprenticeship programs, this bill promotes job growth and effective training. With over 60% of these Nevada students needing federal loans, this bill also opens doors for those who would otherwise face barriers to entering these meaningful careers. In 2020, Nevada employed approximately 4,800 hairdressers, hairstylists, and cosmetologists, and this number is projected to grow by 27% by 2030. AB 225 is crucial because it ensures our licensing system is prepared to support this growing workforce, helping businesses fill jobs more efficiently and allowing workers to access meaningful careers without unnecessary hurdles. We urge your support for AB 225. Thank you.
We will now begin testimony and support in Las Vegas. I do see that you guys are seated. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Marzullo and members of the committee. My name is Angel Wei, Anglwei, and I work as a shampoo technician at a local Asian-owned hair salon here in Las Vegas. I'm here today to express my strong support for AB 225 from both a personal and community perspective. First, I want to thank Assemblymember Nguyen for introducing this bill. My first job was as an assistant at a friend's salon. I learned to shampoo and blow dry hair, and it gave me a way to earn income while getting experience in the beauty industry. But under the current law, doing even basic tasks like blow drying or shampooing without a full license is not allowed. That makes it really difficult for people starting out. AB 225 would give people like me, especially new immigrants and young workers, an easier and more affordable entry into the field. It would make it possible to begin as a blow dry assistant, gain real-life experience, and start earning money while deciding whether to pursue the full license later. That's how many of us find our passion in this profession. In many Asian salons, assistants play a huge role in daily operations. We greet clients, wash hair, help stylists prepare. It's teamwork. This bill would recognize the important role we already play and make it possible for us to work legally and safely. I believe AB 225 can help more people support their families, build job skills, and be part of an industry they're passionate about. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Rolee, Roulee, and I work as a shampoo technician at family-owned Asian hair salon in Las Vegas. I'm here today to share my support to AB 225 from a personal and professional standpoint. I want to thank Assembly Member Nguyen for bringing from this bill as someone who came to the country with a strong work ethic. I started as an assistant as my friend's salon blow dry and shampooing were the first skill I learned. It's helped me earn money while continue my training. But under the current license system, it's hard to illegally have assistants have help with even best tech like shampoo or blow drying without going through $1,000 an hour informal training first. AB 225 will allow many of us, especially in Asian community, to have more accessible path into the beauty industry. For new immigrants and younger workers who want to support their family and explore career in the cosmetology, being able to start as blow dry assistant is a real opportunity. It's build confidence, income, and experience without having to break the bank. In many Asian salons, their assistants are born in the business. It's help with the customer service, pre-work, and keep things running smooth. This bill will firmly recognize the work we already do and make it legal. I believe AB 225 will open the door for more hardworking people like me to join the industry, support their family, and grow their career. Thank you for your time and considering this important.
Thank you for your testimony. Next person, please.
Thank you and good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Laura Nowlin, Laura Nowlin, Nowlan. I am a small business owner in the Las Vegas, Nevada area. I've been in the staffing industry for the last 18 years, really trying to help improve our workforce. I work with a lot of interns. AB 225 really does help allow the individual to really get to determine if they even want to go into becoming a barber or into taking these classes. It really would help our low-income communities, especially the east and the north side of Las Vegas, if AB 225 will pass with these stipulations. It will allow the student to really determine if this is a career pathway that they are wanting to enter. Thank you for your time, and I really do hope that you support the bill of 225 in order to help the small business community continue improving its workforce.
Thank you, Chairperson and members of the committee. Christian Cardenas, the Director of Grassroots Operations with Americans for Prosperity. On behalf of Americans for Prosperity Nevada, I want to thank you and the sponsor of this bill for the opportunity to testify in favor of AB 225, a bill that would make it several changes to massage therapy, barbering, cosmetology-related government occupational licenses. As AFP Nevada works to remove onerous and unnecessary occupational barriers in our great state, AFP supports AB 225, which would, among other things, would remove government licensing requirements for blow-dry styling, hair braiding, shampoo technology, hair braiding, and makeup artistry practices, and allow the use of federal registered apprenticeship programs as valid training for related professions, also removing examination requirements under completion. Permits barbershops to lease space to cosmetologists without necessitating the separate work areas, establishes the licensed cosmetologists, estheticians, electrologists, hair designers, and nail technologists are not required to obtain additional instructor licenses to train apprentice. Today, licensing burdens actually reduce the opportunities for Nevadans while cutting off rungs on the economic mobility ladder for people trying to improve their lives. In fact, research actually shows that these more heavily licensed states, entrepreneurship rates among lower income residents are actually much lower. Recidivism rates are actually higher for ex-offenders, and other unintended consequences such as increased crime rates occur due to decreased employment opportunities. So while AFP works with leaders to continue reducing employment barriers, AB 225 helps to remove a range of anti-competitive, needlessly burdensome and ineffective licensure requirements in the massage therapy, barbering, and cosmetology spaces. So with that being said, we do ask that you please support AB 225. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Marzola, members of the Assembly Committee of Commerce and Labor. My name is Anahit Baghshetyan. For the record, that is ANAHITBAGHSHETSYN, and I'm a research assistant at Nevada Policy. Nevada Policy comes today in strong support of AB 225, and I think before me we heard amazing anecdotes and personal stories of why we should support the bill. So I'll try to center my testimony on a little bit more of a statewide context than a nationwide context. As we heard from Ms. McDonald, Nevada has some of the heaviest occupational licensing requirements in the nation. The Silver State requires licensure for 74% of all the 102 low-income occupations, when the national average for licensure requirements is only 53%. On top of that, not only many professions are regulated, the professions that are already regulated have inflated costs, both when it comes to monetary and timely contributions. So the average licensure fee in Nevada for a profession is $747, when the national average is only $284. So I think this paints a great picture that not only do our barbers, cosmetologists, and beauty professionals have to invest more time than other states, they also have to invest more money. But our research from last year demonstrated that more monetary investment doesn't even translate into more average income, with average salary of cosmetologists in Nevada being $26,000, whereas the national average is $34,000. So changing all these hurdles and lessening the barriers to entering the market would expand career opportunities for Nevadans and encourage more individuals to actually enter the workforce and participate in labor. For these reasons, we urge the committee to support the bill, and thank you so much for your time.
Wizrazard, W-I-Z-R-O-U-Z-A-R-D. I am testifying in my personal capacity today as a Nevadan, as a father, and as a proud son to parents who immigrated to this beautiful country from a beautiful country as well called Haiti. The reason I bring Haiti up is because I got the privilege to travel on many occasions with my mother. And it just so happened that my mother was getting her hair braided by a 16-year-old who was doing a tremendous job. And coming back to America and finding out that, you know, to braid hair, you need to go through an examination process, you don't go to schooling. It was pretty alarming to me that when we talk about the land of the free and the brave, that you have economic vehicle that's inaccessible unless government sends out that permission slip. In regards to the bill itself, I applaud the bill sponsor for doing a tremendous job on really creating a market of competing ideas and processes for not only current individuals who are probably considering pursuing a license in barber school and cosmetology, but also future generations that look forward to pursuing their American dream. Currently, as it stands, it's not working as it was shared in the presentation. Actually, you probably have some folks here in opposition that's going to talk about their business model and how important it is to ensure that some of those guidelines and concerns and fear that were shared are preserved. But history has shown that that's not the case. If anything, I think Nevada can be a great leader in allowing those market ideas to foment some amazing statistics that after a couple of years, we can come back and revisit. But it doesn't get rid of barber schools. If anything, it allows any individual to have a choice. And that's what it's all about. And that's what freedom is about, is ensuring individuals who want to wake up and provide for not only themselves or their family have an opportunity to do so. And I hope that you support AB 225 to ensure that the future posterity of this beautiful state has the ability to pursue their dreams. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support? I don't see anyone. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
To testify in support for Assembly Bill 225, please press *9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to testify in support, please press *9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window. Caller with the last three digits 110, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, Chair Marzola and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Hugh Anderson, H-U-G-H-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, Chair of the Government Affairs Committee for the Vegas Chamber. I'd like to thank Assemblymember Nguyen for bringing this important modernization forward pertaining to the barber and cosmetology boards. The Chamber supports Assembly Bill 225 because this is a good governance reform bill that supports entrepreneurs and innovative methods to help modernize the industry. As you know, the Chamber has been a longtime advocate for increased efficiencies within the state agencies and boards, expanding career options for Nevadans, and encouraging workforce development opportunities. As the former chair of the Governor's Workforce Development Board, this is also a good workforce development bill. We want to encourage Nevadans to pursue their professional endeavors and foster that spirit of Nevada ingenuity. Also, as the longest-serving trustee for the Vegas Chamber, I have heard from our members for years about the fundamental need to modernize the educational options within the industry, but also the need for greater transparency and oversight. The Chamber believes that AB 225 will give Nevadans affordable pathways that wish to enter the industry by offering apprenticeship options, reducing unnecessary regulatory barriers for positions like hair braider and shampoo technologists, and leveling the playing field for entrepreneurs and future Nevadans that want to be in this industry. There are some of the reasons why the Chamber is in support of this bill, and we ask that you consider your support of Assembly 225. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Simon, Tracisimon, and my husband and I are the owners of Get a Haircut Barbershop in Las Vegas. We've been running our shop in Las Vegas since 2017, and JJ, my husband, has been cutting hair for 25 years. As a barbershop owner, I can attest to how these reforms are much needed in Nevada's barbering industry. Working with my husband and opening our shop together has opened my eyes to how unnecessary burdensome Nevada's barbering laws are. My husband originally went to cosmetology school in California and had been doing men's haircuts for many years. But when we moved to Nevada, he was unable to get a job in a barber shop because he didn't have a barber's license. He had to go back to California and get his barber license there. Because there were few barbering schools in Southern Nevada at the time, when he returned to Las Vegas, he had to retake the exam since Nevada refused to recognize his out-of-state license. Now we've been running our barbershop since 2017, and we continue to face these same frustrating issues. Since we opened, we have been unable to hire another barber to work in our shop due to Nevada's difficult and unnecessary regulations. We've received a number of applications from talented stylists, but we can't hire them because they either hold an out-of-state license or a cosmetology license. Instead of hiring any of these qualified applicants, JJ has been the only barber in our shop. Reform is desperately needed. This bill would improve reciprocity for out-of-state licenses and permit cosmetologists and barbers to work in the same shop. These are common sense reforms to Nevada's oppressive regulations, removing barriers for people who just want to be able to work and to use the qualifications they already have. I urge the committee to support this bill and embrace new opportunities for Nevada's barbering industry. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Caller with the last three digits 575, please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. My name is Lanika McCloud, for the record, LANIQURA&CCLOUD. I want to first thank the bill sponsors for bringing this forward. Honestly, I am astonished that this hasn't been brought forward before. Over the years, I've heard a lot about the egregious regulations and barriers that are applied to women who just simply want to braid hair and utilize that as an economic vehicle. And I remember there was a question asked about how many states have already approved this already before or exempt hair braiders. It is actually 36. And so I strongly would like our constituents to be heard, and I would strongly encourage our legislators to support this. I do believe not supporting this would send a clear message to hardworking Nevadans, especially those who braid hair and who do go to like to be barbers, that you don't really support economic and entrepreneurship in the way that is accessible to everybody. So I strongly encourage you to support this bill, and I'm honestly just happy that it's being brought forward after all this time. So thank you again to the bill sponsors.
Here, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers choosing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you. We will move to testimony in opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 225?
Good afternoon, Chair and Committee. My name is Aisha Goins, AESHA-GOINS, and I am testifying in opposition of this bill just for a couple of reasons, but there's something that I believe could be done. I just don't think we've gotten there. As a person, people don't know this about me, but I did graduate from Votech with cosmetology hours. I do recognize that there are some things that could and should change. I just don't think that we're here yet. I met with the sponsor on today and had a brief conversation, and my client will be talking after this in Las Vegas, so I'm going to yield my time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is William Horn, William common spelling, Horn, H-O-R-N-E, here representing the Nevada State Board of Cosmetology, unfortunately in opposition to this bill. We appreciate the Assemblyman's efforts in speaking with my client. We've had a couple phone calls and meetings, stakeholder meetings. With his prerogative, he chose not to accept the board's amendments to the bill, and I want to address just a couple of things. First off, braiders, they don't go to school. They just take an exam on sanitation and Nevada law. Also, we appreciate that he's keeping the hours of the training for cosmetologists in there. There are also issues in the bill on removing late fees in this. We find that problematic in that the board actually sends out when your license is renewed 90 days prior to your license being renewed, and then 30 days, every 30 days after that to do this. It was explained that they're trying to remove this barrier. For some, it's a burden, but if you take away fees for being late, the other things we put in places for privileged licenses, then what's to prevent them from continuing to be late throughout the year and stuff? We believe that the mechanism that's set in place with the multiple notices for your renewal are sufficient and should not be deleted. This was also done for the last, they worked on this in the NAC 644A, and in April, after 4 years of rewrites and reviews to get caught up, this is from the 2021 and 2023 session, legislative sessions. There are no bars to cosmetology license. The fee's $35 a year. It only requires a 10th grade education to do this. It's important to remember that the board's responsibility, first and foremost, is the protection and safety of the populace. That's his mission. And when there are changes to laws and licenses that are designed to protect, to make sure that a licensee is properly trained to provide these services, we want to make sure that they're safe. And we believe that there's still, as the sponsor said, there's still a lot of work to be done with this, and the board stands ready to work with the sponsor going forward, but we think that this does have a lot of work, and maybe during the interim, if this bill is in process, which we hope you don't, we will continue to work with him. Thank you.
Mr. Horn, did you say that the board has an amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair. The board did send an amendment to Assemblyman Nguyen for his consideration.
And I know at this time it has not been accepted, but can you please send it to the committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition? And anyone wanting to testify in opposition, you guys can come on down. And then once you're done, if you can get up for the next person. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record. You may begin when you're ready.
On the record, Brenda Castaneda, Castaneda. Sorry, this is my first time. So I am actually the office administrator for Northern Nevada Barber Academy here in Sparks, Nevada. As far as the 18-year age, it's 16 and a half, must have a GED, transcripts, high school diploma to be able to come in. For there being such a reason of, I feel like, of people not passing, it's for a reason. I feel like from what I've seen right off the stat, like here at school, is that they instantly start with proper preparation and sanitation, which I feel like is the most important thing before even getting clippers or anything in their hands. And that's how it is at our school. So I am, as from what I've heard of everything, I feel like there is a reason why the state board, the barber board, cosmetology has these regulations are for a reason and for the protection of our community. As far as I oppose on AB 225. Thank you.
My name's Kevin Polanco. For the record, I'm currently a student at Northern Nevada Barber Academy. I'm a cosmetology. I'm doing my crossover program. So I think over the years, the barber program has got watered down because at one point barbers were surgeons and did a lot more than just barbering. They're dentists and other things. So I feel like sometimes lowering the standards isn't better, because sometimes if we raise our standards, a lot more people would want to do it with the same ambition that other people have gone through to get there. So in other words, like, put in the time that the rest have put in. And that's pretty much it. I wasn't really prepared, but that's pretty much all I got.
That's okay. Thank you for testifying. Can you go ahead and spell your name for the record?
Kevin, space, and then Polanco.
Thank you for your testimony. You may begin when you're ready.
For the record, my name is Matthew Lee. That is Matthewlee. I'm also a student at the Northern Nevada Barber Academy, and I do oppose AB 225. I believe there are some good points in here, but I do think needs to be a process of changing some things in there in regards to barbering. You know, I'm 31 years old. You know, I started this career late, but I think, you know, if you have the passion for it and the drive for it, why not and go and do it? We have kids who start younger than 18, and we have people in our school who are almost 50. So I think if you have the passion for it, you can go do it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Carson City that wishes to testify in opposition? I don't see anyone. I see that you're seated in Las Vegas. You may begin when you're ready. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
Yes, Marcus Allen, Marcus, last name Allen, Allen. I am a barber. I've been a barber for 27 years. I'm the owner of Masterpiece Barber School and also the owner of Masterpiece Barbershop 1, Masterpiece Barbershop 2, Masterpiece Barbershop 3, and 4. I stand before you. First of all, thank the committee for giving us the opportunity to express ourselves on this. One of the things, I had a whole nother list, but we'll go over this right here, some of the stuff that was spoken earlier that they couldn't answer the question. Maybe I can help you guys out with it. The problem with transferring hours, there's no problem at all with transferring hours in the state of Nevada. Never have been a problem, never is a problem. Another thing was waiting lists. There is no waiting list in none of the schools at all at this present time. Another reform. We have a program that the state helped us out with reforming prisoners from prison actually going to barber school. And percentage of Latinos, we have over 80 or a little bit less, maybe 75% are Latino students that's actually in all the schools. Then another thing was how many schools that we have in Las Vegas. We have 5 schools. Majority of the 5 schools, 3 out of 5 schools came from under Masterpiece itself. And then we have another one in Northern Nevada, and we have 2 more schools in the process of opening up this year with no waiting list. Also, we have a room full of students and also barbershop owners and barber school owners. And we have another room behind us full of people, students, and also other barbershop owners that's here speaking opposing of this bill. Students know that they do need this lesson to take this career on. My school right now, we had 92% passing rate. We had 90% job placement. We have no problem with, and I can speak for the other schools that's doing pretty good too. And we have no problem with them actually planning. Now let's talk about some of the hands-on experience. I'm a barber. I've been a barber for 27 years. I had 3 barbershops at the time. I needed to go back to barber school to become a barber instructor. I was a real good barber, but I wasn't a good barber instructor. I had to go learn how to instruct and teach individuals. You have different learners. Just because I was good at my craft don't mean I could deliver a message to a student that don't know nothing about this craft. So therefore, if I only took 2 exams, 2 exams was the one to become a barber, and the next one was the one to become a barber instructor. I had no problem with that at all. And for the record, for the other 2 barber shop owners that spoke, yes.
If you can please wrap up your testimony.
Yes, I can wrap it up real quick.
Thank
Last
you.
thing was Gable, the owner of the barbershop. He's not a barber, and then he was just fined recently in his barbershop, and now he's going to teach a student how to be a barber. Thank you. That's one more thing. Whenever any other state sneeze, Nevada don't have to catch a cold. Let's protect our Nevadans, please.
I need you to please wrap up your testimony so we can give everyone a chance to testify. Thank you. Whoever's next may begin.
Yes, hello, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Gwen Bramo. I'm the Executive Director of Expertise Cosmetology and Barbering. I'm also a cosmetology educator, and I'm also a trainer for a national curriculum company, the largest in the country. I am in opposition of AB 225. There was multiple key reasons for it, but because of the time restraint, I want to just talk about apprenticeship. If we allow apprenticeships, we're going to be allowing barbers and cosmetologists to train in their salons and barbershops without the proper credentials to be able to administer a curriculum, which is multiple methods of teaching, which is knowing the learner style, learner types. Theory is actually practical procedure. So if they don't have a very solid theory background, how will they be able to actually practice those procedures? And before I close, I wanted just to talk about training, allowing an individual to train, to be able to service our consumers, posting a sign saying, get your hair done at your own risk. I mean, would be just the beginning of deregulations. I understand a lot of the agencies that came before that was supporting that. Because I'm an ex-board member of cosmetology in the past, we've had to deal with a lot of interstate justice, different organizations coming in to deregulate our license. This license is a career, and we don't want to water it down. We want to be able to support it. So please, and as I close, I'm asking the committee to please hear out the experts that's in this industry and have the experience, because creating less barriers, we're for it. So we would like to sit down and find out what are the real barriers.
Thank you,
ma'am.
Can you please wrap up your testimony?
Yes, I'm all done. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, my name is Antoinette Maestas, Antinette, last name Maestas. I am the Secretary Treasurer of the Nevada State Barbers Health and Sanitation Board. I'm here to express the Barber Board's opposition to AB 225, particularly regarding the apprenticeship program, the removal of licensing requirements, and the potential impact on the safety and professionalism of Nevada barbering industry. While reducing barriers to entry is a worthy goal, apprenticeship models in other states such as Arizona and California have shown alarmingly low pass rates, 44% and 42% for first-time test takers. In contrast, Nevada's barbership apprentice program here in Nevada, which is after 1,500 hours of school, the apprenticeship, I'm going to get off topic just for a second. The apprenticeship program was set up. You have to understand, when they go to the get out of school, they pass the exam, they become an apprentice barber. They go to a shop, they make the same amount of money as the guy standing right next to them does. They are working full time. The reason that was set up is a mentorship, because when you get out of school, you think you got it going on. You have a lot to learn when you stand beside a master barber. Our pass rate is 73%. AB's 225's proposal to allow individuals to bypass the licensing exam after the on-the-job training undermines this safeguard, potentially jeopardizing public safety. I've seen the consequences of inadequate training firsthand, including a case where improper blood spill procedures during the examination exposed both the student and public to serious health issues. Federally registered apprenticeship programs require barbers to pay apprentices, which raises concerns about barbers being able to devote the time and resources necessary for effective mentorship.
Ma'am, can you please wrap up your testimony?
I can. Furthermore, many apprenticeship programs lack the theory education needed. There's concerns with the qualifications of the instructor training. A cosmetologist cannot teach barbering if they don't know the fundamentals of barbering. I would urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can always turn in your testimony in writing to the committee secretary there, and we'll make sure that it's uploaded and available. Thank you. The next person.
I did. Thank you.
The next person can start.
How you doing? My name is Carl Littles. Thank you, Commissioner, for allowing us today. I'm on behalf of the original barber school and also the original barber shop. I am a local barber as well and born and raised in Las Vegas. While I oppose this bill, we firmly believe that any expansion of this apprenticeship program will, with improper training of this industry standards, will tragically affect our communities. The barbering profession requires a high level of skill, sanitation knowledge, and also customer service expertise that should not be compromised for the sake of accessibility. Without structure, education, and oversight, the integrity of our trade and the success of our future professionals are at risk. Proper training is not about cutting hair. It's about the health, safety, and maintaining the professionalism that has built trust in our industry and also in our community. If AB 225 moves forward, cutting corners in training will not only weaken our profession, but also impact our public and consumer confidence as well. We urge you, Commission, to consider the long-term consequence of passing a bill that does not uphold rigorous training standards, particularly with deregulating provisions could negatively affect our licensed professionals who have invested in their craft. Not once have I ever heard any licensed barber or professional say they regret investing in money, financials, or their time into their craft. Now, I want to touch a little bit on deregulation. Now, if you guys allow someone to go and be trained by a barber, that is deregulating somebody's license. That's deregulating the instructor license. That's someone that is trained to also train a barber how to practice safety and sanitation and also patron protection. Thank you guys very much.
Hello, my name is Nimi Dhaliwal Espinoza. That's NIMIDHALIWALESPINOZA. Chairperson and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm a licensed cosmetologist and school director with 17 years of experience in this profession. I'm here today to strongly oppose Bill 225, which seeks to deregulate braiding and shampooing services within our industry. While I understand the intention behind this bill may be to increase accessibility and reduce barriers to entry, the reality is that these services are not as simple or risk-free as they may appear. Shampooing and braiding are not just routine beauty services. They involve close physical contact, the use of chemicals and water near the scalp and skin, and understanding of sanitation, hygiene, and potential health risks. By removing regulatory oversight and licensing requirements, we jeopardize the safety of clients and undermine the professionalism and integrity of our industry. Proper training ensures that practitioners can recognize scalp conditions, prevent cross-contamination, and use products safely. Licensing requirements exist not just to protect cosmetologists, but to protect the public. Deregulation sends a dangerous message that safety, education, and accountability in personal care are optional. It places consumers at risk and devalues the commitment of licensed professionals who have invested time and resources into their craft. I respectfully urge you to reject Bill 225 and work instead towards solutions that balance accessibility with safety and standards. Our clients deserve nothing less. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Junis McDaniels, Junis McDaniels. I've been an educator for 5 years and a barber for 24 years. As an educator, I've learned the importance of 1,500 hours of barber school, the integrity and safety and the overall well-being of becoming a barber. In my early years, barbering was looked down on and frowned upon. For us to get to this place in Las Vegas has been a beautiful process. For people to step in our lane and dictate things they know nothing about is a slap in the face. How can we be sitting here debating on how important education is? Anything worth something takes sacrifice. In the world today, we seem to be eliminating sacrifice, ignoring that there are levels in everything we do. It would be detrimental to the profession to skip barber school. When I was becoming a barber, there wasn't even a school in Nevada. We had to sacrifice moving to another state. Completing hours and experience was so critical in my life. Personally, I grew so much in that time and learned so much about myself. The ups and downs, the fight to finish and stay dedicated and disciplined is the key. We are not just teaching barbering. We are changing lives, changing mindsets, and changing outcomes. It's bigger than anatomy and chemistry. It's life. It's a part of a process that should never change. It's hard enough for the board to regulate in the current state of how they regulate a free-for-all system where sharks would take advantage of apprenticeships for their own personal gain, not investing in the well-being of a barber, feeding on desperation and no accountability. For the barber's future as an educator, I give everything inside of me, including all my time, to ensure competency in producing great, valuable members of society. The blueprint for success and safety it takes to be a barber is 1,500 hours of barber school. Most of my students from the past believe barber school was the best thing that ever happened to them. I stand before you today to say, don't take away from this, add value to it. Understand we are pillars in this community. Don't minimize that or downplay it and say I say this with all respect. With many differences and opinions, we can all agree on this. Education is for a lifetime and is essential. Don't confuse preparation with barriers. Let's address real barriers because school is not one of them. I repeat, school is not a barrier. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. The next person can begin.
Hello, my name is Lisa Lewis, Lisa. Last name is Lewis, Lewis. I'm here as a registrar for the Barber Institute and Cosmetology Institute. I also am a licensed cosmetology instructor, an advanced esthetician. I am a state-approved CEU provider, and I help form the national testing for cosmetology applicants. I say that to say I can look at this at a variety of different lenses. This bill is problematic. It definitely leads to deregulating our industry. I feel like we are trying to create opportunities to help few while affecting many. We do not just show our students the practical skills, it's also the theory that is required and necessary for them to have an understanding to be proficient in certain areas. I don't want you guys to think lightly of we're just showing people how to cut hair. It's anatomy, it's physiology, it's chemistry, it's contraindications, it's consultations, it's chemical services. There's a lot more that goes into this profession that what we're talking about than today. And the fact that you can take our credentials that we've earned and I've spent 28 years in this industry. It would be like me taking away some of your bachelor's and master's degrees. It's insulting. We are not just here to beautify people. We are here to create something better than what we had when we were in school. The schools are highly governed. Our licenses are highly governed. As a licensed instructor, I have to get CEUs every year to know how to teach. That means I could work with someone who English is not their first language. They may have a learning disability. They may have a comprehension issue. All of those individuals I can teach because I've been taught. So let's not devalue what we're doing here as schools. And as our industry, and I do not agree with this bill, and I will fight till the end of it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victor DeLeon. I'm a barber student here in Nevada at Masterpiece Barber School. I'm here to ask for you to vote no on Assembly Bill 225. This bill threatens the integrity of the barbering industry by lowering the standards we've worked hard to uphold. Barbering isn't just about cutting hair. It's about public health, sanitation, proper training, and safety. We use sharp tools near people's skin on a daily, and we're responsible for preventing infections and cross-contamination. As a student, I've invested my time, money, and energy into learning the right way through a structured education. AB 225 would allow people to bypass this training through looser apprenticeship programs that just don't guarantee the same level of education or oversight. This bill would devalue the license we all work so hard for, put clients at risk, and open the industry to unqualified individuals. It's not just unfair to current students and professionals, it's unsafe for the public. We all want to grow in this industry, yes, but not at the cost of its quality, safety, and credibility. Please protect Nevada's barbers and vote no on AB 225. Again, my name is Victor DeLeon. That's VICTORDELEON. Thank you for your time.
My name is Chris Mann, Chris, C-H-R-I-S, Mann, M-A-N-N. I want to address something specifically within the bill, reducing the amount of hours for schooling. I think 1,000 hours from 1,500 hours. So you have to understand how our textbook is structured in the barbering world, where chemical texture services, hair coloring, and women's hair cutting within our textbook is the additional 500 hours that they will have to earn in order to get their license. So I just wanted to address that. I'm really against, because that's within our textbook. That's what we're supposed to learn, and 1,000 hours is not enough hours for you to put this information within that. I've worked with 25 years. I done worked in 5 different states that had apprentice programs, as well as barbering schools, as well as far as options is concerned. But we have a concern with dealing with our education, not just in barbering, but in our total society in America. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And just to let everyone know, in Las Vegas, I will now only take the 3 that are sitting, and we do have to move to the phone lines. You may begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Benita Holly, B-E-N-I-T-A, last name H-O-L-L-I-E. I'm the director at Euphoria Institute. We've been in Summerlin for well over 20 plus years. I've been in the business for 40 years. As a licensed cosmetologist. I've been in education for over 30, and I've been at Euphoria for over 20. So there's some longevity there. And I speak to that because there were some questions, questions that were asked about whether or not students were graduating in time and all of the things. I can speak for Euphoria Institute as far as our retention and our students staying in school, completing their program. We're at a 95 to 97% retention rate, along with our grad rate being 97%, and our students are meeting our ASCC benchmark of 70% placement in the industry. So with that being said, all of the obstacles that supposedly have been addressed in this bill, it appears that now we want to put non-professionals with professionals that probably have had some citations. At least someone spoke about a citation with one of the industry experts that spoke today. Ultimately, you know, students and people that come into our industry need to learn how to protect it. And there are some serious contagious communicable diseases out there that easily spread to other individuals, and for a novice to not know what that looks like, or someone in the industry that maybe has never seen tinea pedis or tinea manis, and you may not even know what that means, being ringworm, so it's highly contagious. So my concern is more about the safety conditions and the safety in our industry, more so than I think someone said here.
Ma'am, if you can please wrap up your testimony.
Life. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. After the 2 individuals that are sitting, their testimony, I am going to ask everyone to stand that was not able to testify. So if you can just please stay in the room. The both of you may begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Melissa Martinez. I'm the campus director at Milan Institute here in Las Vegas. and I am representing professionals and educators in the beauty industry. A field that not only powers small businesses and entrepreneurship, but also plays a crucial role in public safety. Our work goes beyond appearances, whether in cosmetology or barbering. Improper training can lead to serious risks like infections, chemical burns, and the spread of dangerous pathogens. This is why we need to uphold strong educational standards and it compromises the quality of education, undermines public safety, and damages industry credibility. Our students deserve thorough hands-on practice in both theory and before entering the workforce, ensuring that they are fully prepared to serve the community safely. Schools not only hold our students accountable by instilling discipline and ethical practices, but they also have completion, placement, and licensure requirements that ensure graduates meet professional standards. We're not asking for unnecessary red tape. We're asking for common sense, a balanced approach that protects both our future professionals and the people they serve. Let's ensure that we educate fully, regulate wisely, and always keep public safety at the forefront. Thank you for your time and consideration. Melissa, Melissa, Martinez, Martinez. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raymond Green. I oppose Assembly Bill 225, and I can explain to you why. But I'm going to need you guys to take out a piece of paper and a pen as far as the committee. A lot of the questions that was asked by the so-called experts that was for this bill, the answers to those questions are already in our law books. It does a disservice to know that someone in our state is pushing a bill forward in our state that does not even understand the laws that are in our state. When you ask the question as far as how old you have to be, that is, excuse me real quick. I'm gonna get to you real fast. We're talking about NRS code 643070 that already exists in the law book that explains that. We also have NRS 643080, which explains the qualifications for an apprentice. We have NAC 643660, which explains the hours, the requirements, how long the course is. It's 10 months. You have a year to complete that. That's already in the law book. The minimum, when we talk about the NRS code 643120, that's the admission of apprentices from other jurisdictions. When we talk about NRS 643130, that's the issuance of a temporary license for somebody that's not here. When you talk about NAC 643025, that talks about the licenses of endorsement, which means if you are a barber qualified in another state, only thing you have to do is provide the information that you have been a barber for the last 5, an active barber 5 out of the last 10 years, you will be issued a license in the state of Nevada. When we're talking about opening up opportunities, 2008 was the first barber school that was opened up. Since 2017, I'm just giving you some, yes.
And I understand, but if you can please wrap up your testimony because your time is almost up.
My time is almost up, but not all the way up. Okay.
You literally have 2 seconds.
I'm going to wrap it up right now. I just want to say this. Dan. The power of the people is greater than the people in power.
Thank you for your testimony. For everyone who did not get to testify today, if you could please stand in Las Vegas. First, I want to say thank you so much for coming to the committee room, for being part of the process and showing up. I'm sorry that you did not get to testify today, but if you do have your testimony in writing, please provide it to the committee secretary in the room down in Las Vegas, and I will make sure that it is posted and that every committee member receives it. Thank you. Broadcast, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in opposition?
To testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 225, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Again, if you wish to testify in opposition, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window. Caller with the last three digits 660, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Andeen Rose, Andeen Rose. I am a licensed cosmetologist and barber and instructor in the state of Nevada in Las Vegas. I do oppose AB 225 as it's a grave threat to the public safety by undermining critical protections designed to safeguard the health and welfare of our consumers. By relaxing the regulatory standards, this legislation significantly increases risk and potential harm, ultimately failing to serve the individuals that the cosmetology and barbering industry is intended to support. The possible consequences of this deregulation are concerning. The current system emphasizes licensed training is a robust safeguard for public safety in cosmetology and barbering. This training provided by licensed school is not just necessary, it's essential. It upholds health and sanitation standards, protecting the public from communicable diseases. These educational programs equip technicians with required knowledge and skill to perform their services safely and effectively, thus minimizing the risk of hazardous chemical incidents. Abandoning these regulations would compromise these vital safeguards and seriously risk consumers' well-being. The education offered by barbers and cosmetology schools is not just important, it's crucial. It instills an understanding of safety and sanitation in students. Preparing them to use chemicals correctly reduces the likelihood of accidents and ensures a safe environment for all clients. This foundational training is not just imperative, it's a responsibility we all share to maintain high industry standards and promote public health. Introducing an apprentice program without proper regulations creates significant dangers, unlike the structured educational framework provided by accredited barber and cosmetology schools, which offer a standardized curriculum and comprehensive training and apprentice model might not ensure the consistent education. This inconsistency can lead to gaps in knowledge and skill. Additionally, it departs from the
Ma'am,
stringent
if you can
safety and
please wrap up
sanitation
your
protocol.
testimony, your time is up.
Thank you. It's essential to prioritize a well-regulated educational framework to protect public safety and professional
Thank
standards.
you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Hi, my name is Angie Bernardi. I'm a licensed cosmetologist in the Reno area. I would like to oppose AB 225 for several reasons, with the apprenticeship just being, I can see that being just a big health hazard for the public. There's so many facets to this bill that there are little pieces in there that do make sense, combining cosmetologist and barbering, so it is easier for people to work together. But the apprenticeship program doesn't really make sense. There's so much benefits to being in school. I did hear a 3% infection control is all that is taught, and I know for a fact that it's way more because it's taught all throughout their program. There was talk of it being hardships for other people. There's so many scholarships that I've seen, loans, FAFSAs, just like any other educational institution, that it's not necessarily a closed door for people. There's just things you have to do to get approved for those. But again, my name is Angie Bernardi, and it's ANGIEBERNARDY. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andres Dominguez here in Las Vegas, Nevada, owner of Speakeasy Barbershop. I'm third generation barber. I've seen my grandfather be a barber. I've seen my uncle be a barber, and my mom's in cosmetology. So I grew up in this. I just wanted to touch on one thing. They want to lower the bar to see if it's a venture that they see themselves going in the future. That's easily done. Go hang out in the barbershop or go hang out in the cosmetology salon and see if that's an environment that you want to be a part of. Just with our city and our state growing the way that it is, this isn't a time for us to lower the bar and make it easier. And by watering down everything, this is a time for us to actually step up and allow us to show everybody else and be examples of why it is so important. You know, my shop is actually inside the El Cortez Hotel and Casino in Fremont Street, and we get a good majority of locals, but even more so than that, we get a lot of people that are visiting. And it's important for our guys to come to the shop, our apprentices to come to the shop and already have that understanding of the risk that's actually out there, so they can be able to identify what potentially is in front of them, and not just have somebody who doesn't know anything and we're lowering the bar to accept them in to just maybe learn on the spot, but we can already cross-infect with somebody else or just really cause mayhem, because people aren't just here locally in Vegas, they're visiting Vegas. So anything that happens here is going to be transmitted and taken elsewhere. I have clients from all over that just applaud us all the time, just because they're tired of their locations back home where it's either joined Cosmo and barbering and things get watered down, or they deregulate certain things and it gets watered down. So, you know, I just want to really state that it is very important for us to keep.
Can you please wrap up your testimony?
Absolutely. And real quick, I never say this, but I'm one of those Latino guys that come from a rough area as well. We never use it as a crutch. We see it as a badge of honor that we got through it, and now we're providing for our family.
Thank you for your testimony. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
If you have recently joined and would like to testify in opposition to Assembly Bill 225, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue.
Hi, my name is Richard Bautista. Shout out to James the barber and his barbershop out there in Las Vegas. I just want to ask this Dai Nguyen guy what he has against a good haircut. Because in my experience, people that go through this entire process of getting trained are still liable to give a bad haircut. Now, what do you think is going to happen if you fast track that process? You're going to have a bunch of people with bad haircuts. And that's just no good. Deregulating seems to be like a conservative thing. So I'm confused that this guy is a Democrat.
Okay, sir, I need you to, sir, I need you to talk about the bill and not anyone individually. So do you want to continue your opposition testimony?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The only thing left to say is that regulations are put in place to protect the consumer. Regulations make the product for the consumer safe. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Hi, for the record, my name is Robin Walsh. I am the campus director of Milan Institute in Reno, Nevada, and I am in opposition of AB 225. In a previous meeting with Assemblymember Nguyen, it was mentioned on multiple occasions that offering apprenticeships to create additional access to perhaps socioeconomically disadvantaged people, or maybe people in rural, he gave kind of case by case. While I can appreciate providing additional access, it seems taking education out of schools and allowing online learners, even if it's just for those case by case situations, based on proven learner types, we're setting those students up for a lack of material retention and or drop risk, not to mention their financial obligation. Also, to even allow case-by-case cosmetologists to oversee externs in salons, cosmetologists who are not licensed instructors, it really sets a liability based on a real lack of safety and sanitation training, and just an overall lack of knowledge enforced by the state board. Again, to speak on creating access, there is a really good point, and I second what Angela Bernardi said. I do agree with the co-location of barbers and Cosmos, because there is really stringent requirements on safety and sanitation. That seems like a really reasonable way to create access, but for the most part, I do oppose AB 225.
Thank you for your testimony, and that will end our time for phone testimony in opposition. We will move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone. Is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral? Please.
Yeah, I'll testify neutral. My name is Al Rojas, ROJS 8012. I'll be very, very brief. It's only obvious that on the one hand, we want to get more barbers. People want to be barbers, and it takes a long time. It costs a lot of money. But on the other hand, there's biological, there's hygiene issues that have to be addressed. And basically, going in there and just doing an apprentice program is not going to address those things. So, as I said before, I'm an engineer, and as an engineer, usually all engineers take physics classes in the science in the beginning for 2 years, and then the last 2 years you specialize in your specialty. And I think that these are issues that we got to consider. A full apprenticeship program is not the answer. A full school program is not the answer. High costs are not the answer. These are all issues that we all should be taking into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line wishing to testify in neutral?
To testify in neutral to Assembly Bill 225, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers for neutral.
Thank you. Assemblymember, would you like to give any final remarks?
Good afternoon, Jennifer McDonald with the Institute for Justice. For the record, thank you again for all of your time. I know this has been quite a hearing. I just wanted to specify that reducing licensing barriers is a nonpartisan issue. The Obama administration agreed that licensing like this kills jobs and hurts lower income workers. The Century Foundation, a progressive think tank, published research showing schools receive billions in federal funding, but most leave graduates earning near poverty level wages. Licensure requirements contribute to the high cost of cosmetology school programs, and students must often perform unpaid services that benefits the schools again. Now, for the very narrow service of cutting that we're talking about, that liability is still held by a licensed professional. So we are not talking about anything that will allow folks to cut hair unsupervised, use chemicals unsupervised, or anything like that. This is all done under the supervision of a licensed professional. And I would specify that also cosmetology school instructors can become hired as instructors as soon as they graduate cosmetology school. So they're not necessarily the level of experience there that's required by law. To conclude, the bill would only allow for blow dry styling and supervised cutting without a license. We're not getting rid of anybody's full service license. We just want to open more options and pathways into the industry. So we thank you for your time and consideration of this bill.
Thank you very much. Madam Chair, Ewing Wing, for the record. Just want to make sure I put my name out there again for the public to remember is Ewing Wing. That's just how it's pronounced. So thank you. And then for all the stakeholders, I appreciate all the perspective that has been given today. I've learned a lot. This is still a work in progress. So I appreciate all of your patience as the conversation continues. My goal is not to change his safety. My goal is not to change his schooling. My goal is to simply allow an additional step for members of the community to be a part of this amazing industry, which my family have been with for many generations as well. So I do have some knowledge of the industry, and I appreciate all your guidance and leadership, Chair and committee members, as we move this forward. And I look forward to continue the conversation. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you for your presentation today. I will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 225. I will now open up for public comment. Please address your remarks to issues that fall within the jurisdiction of this committee. Please remember you have 2 minutes. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to give public comment? I don't see anyone. I see someone seated in Las Vegas. You may begin when you're ready.
Yes, I'll be very brief. This has to do with home accessibility. It's been a big issue. I've made comments to the fact that we should be putting residents first. And people are saying, well, you're kind of a little bit crazy. How do you determine who's a resident? How do you set the time frame? Well, I asked if people look at how universities do it. You know, if you're a resident for less than a year, you have to pay out-of-state fees. So I'm thinking something along the lines of, if you're a resident for 3 to 5 years, maybe 2 to 5 years, and you've been working full-time or something to that extent here in the state of Nevada, you should have a special, or you should have first privilege to getting affordable housing or the programs that we are highly sacrificing our land and our resources to address the housing issue here in the state of Nevada. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your public comment. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to give public comment? Broadcast, is there anyone on the line?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 or raise your hand in the Zoom window to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 861, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, if you are wanting to give public comment, you may begin when you're ready. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record.
Oh, yes, may I speak about Assembly 225?
We have closed the hearing on that bill, but if you have written testimony, you may submit it and we can upload it to Nellis.
Oh, okay. I'm just a concerned consumer because I don't want nobody cutting my hair.
I understand, but we have closed the hearing for Assembly Bill 225. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Hello, my name is Vanessa Mascaro, M-A-S-C-A-R-O, Vanessa, V-A-N-E-S-S-A. I'd like to note that we have heard here from the lobbyist, Americans for Prosperity, and that should be alarming enough. We've also heard mostly from business owners with several barber shops.
Ma'am,
and their grievance is not being able to expand.
Ma'am,
yeah.
If you are not giving public comment and you are wanting to testify on Assembly Bill 225, that bill has closed. You may submit your testimony in writing.
Believe me, I will.
Thank you. Broadcast, is there anyone else on the line?
Chair, the public lines are open and working. We have no more callers for public comment.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all the committee members for hanging on this Friday. Are there any comments before we adjourn? And with that, this meeting is adjourned. I will see you on Monday.